Yeah, yeah, it's live. All right.
All right, let me just
Uh,
share the video quickly here.
okay.
I don't see it yet.
It should say take two. It's that one.
Hmm. Huh. I heard you getting into a heated discussion with this Nizoa guy on Discord.
Yeah, he's kind of into a guy who likes taxing land.
Who likes what? Taxing
He
land?
likes the idea of taxing land. There's a guy who suggested that's basically fix everything, and
Hmm.
it's a little bit it's just a tax like any other tax. It has consequences like any other tax, and he thinks it's a magic cure all or something.
Hmm.
It
All
does
right.
have some problems, like he's talking about assessing valuation. I thought at first maybe it was okay because they're just taxing a flat tax on acres, uh, and I didn't know what good that would do. But then it's like they're going to assess a value for land that doesn't change hands. And not a big fan of what it's trying to.
All right, so your name's Bob?
Not my real name, just like John Doe, Bob Jones, so generic,
Okay.
Yeah.
So
Um,
you wanted to just discuss veganism, or did you have like some certain arguments, or what
yeah,
did you want to talk about?
yeah, some arguments. I'm curious, for the last debate, what was he exactly arguing? I don't, I
Well, that
mean,
guy drove me nuts. I don't usually like the last two debates are probably not good examples of like wholesome debates that I've had because
okay.
there's a range of all different ones. Like some are really nice, some
Okay.
are out of hand. The last guy that I just debated, he was claiming that raw meat was the be all end all, and
Like,
then when I
wait.
asked him for any sort of evidence, he just sent me over a study on cats where they gave cats
Oh,
raw meat and cooked meat. And I said, well, that doesn't add up because you're not a cat. And then I said, do you have anything else? And then he wouldn't
okay.
send me anything else. He had no more proof. And then we just started arguing. And then
Okay.
he was just triggered at the end there.
Yeah. So wait, he was arguing that raw meat was good for human consumption. Was that what he's arguing for?
Well, he was saying that cooked meat is the problem, and because of the acrylamides and it turns carcinogenic, and that's the reason why all the studies show that meat is bad for you because it's cooked. But then he said, well, wild cooked meat is fine. And then I said, well, I do have studies on wild cooked meat that shows that it's not fine. But then he
Okay.
just didn't want to listen to that and then just went back to raw meat.
Okay.
And so, yeah, I don't know.
All right. So I guess my argument, like, um, well, you're a vegan for the ethical and the health reasons, right? Like, so it's like twofold reason to be a vegan, right?
Well, the reason why I started it was just for absolutely no reason. I was just kind of bored, and I was like, I'm
Okay.
gonna try to lift weights as a vegan because that would
Okay.
be interesting. And then I kind of realized that it was healthier, it was more ethical, and it was better for the environment. And then I was like, well, that's a great decision, and then I stuck with it.
Okay. Well, yeah, I'm not gonna argue the health sides of it because I'm pretty sure the vegans won that. I'm pretty sure. So but to me, it's like smoking. Smoking's still legal. It's not good for you,
Yeah,
but you can still smoke. So I guess
yeah,
mine's gonna be it's sort of like the name the trait type argument vegans make.
okay,
Like a
yeah,
response to that. And okay, so um, I actually this I wrote a really long paper about this. Like this is like I mean I it's sort of like I don't want to like give you like homework because it's basically my response to vegans
yeah.
is my paper. Um yeah, so like it's a Google Doc. So and as long as you have the link anyone. So is that okay if I like link a Google Doc or something like that?
Yeah,
Yeah, I think
yeah,
so.
Yeah,
you could
okay.
send it to me on the Twitter there, and I could send it to Thaddeus, or you can
Yeah,
put it
yeah.
wherever.
Yeah, okay. I'll send it to you
Mhm.
on Twitter.
Yeah, I don't know. You might have to be a mod to post in your live stream there, Thaddeus. I don't know if you have any mods.
I'm probably a mod. Yeah, I don't think I
No.
have any.
I tried to post in my own live stream one time, you know, a link, and it wouldn't let me, even though it was my live stream. So I don't know. I think it's a
Well,
weird.
maybe it's a phone issue. I don't know.
Yeah, it could be. Yeah, actually, I sent the link to Nick Kazmarek because he just wanted to hop on and say hi really quickly. But he would have been a good guy to talk to about this this paper that you wrote, because he's like super into the, you know, the ethical, logical
Yeah.
side of the name the trade argument and everything like that too. Like I know all about it too, but like some people are just really, really into it.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Okay. Did you get it?
Oh yeah, right here.
All
Let me
right.
just, I'll send it to Thaddeus here too.
Yeah, it's pretty long, so sorry about that.
It's all right.
Um, I'm
Sure.
I'm curious about something. Do you guys live? Where do you guys live in the States or like Canada or where do you guys live?
Yeah, I'm Missouri,
Oh, okay.
but he's
Yeah,
not.
and I'm in Thunder Bay, Ontario,
Oh, okay.
Canada.
Yeah. Sorry, it's a little biased towards, the United States. Like, yeah. So,
Okay, so hold on one sec. I see something about number 7, breathe oxygen.
yeah, it's really, yeah. Sorry about
Like,
yeah.
it's all good. I can already tell you're a nicer guy than the last guy. I think it's raw meat. I think you have to be kind of a douchebag to follow the Sparange diet or the primal diet. Like in order for you to be in that group, like you got to be kind of a douche. Let's see here. Okay, so I sent it to Thaddeus now. It's called The Criteria for How Sentient Beings Would Be Granted Protection and Rights in the United States.
Yeah.
Okay. So I got it open. Do you want to discuss it? Because it's
I think
14 pages.
yeah, I think it'd be easier if you read it and then you were like to ask questions afterwards.
Okay, so it says
Yeah.
part 1, protected sentience. The
Yeah.
tests to become a protected sentient under United States law for those born on native soil.
Yeah.
So right off the bat, this whole first section is an appeal to legality. Would you say that?
But I guess that's true. But at the same time, if you, oh, okay, just derail it. Would you want like Canada to make a law to ban meat eating, like to literally make it illegal to ban meat eating? Because if it's
Yeah.
yeah, so yeah, this basically you have to write. I wrote this as like laws that would you have to realistically apply. You have to write laws that are realistically applicable to real life.
Mhm.
So
Yeah.
that's why I sort of wrote on a pragmatic approach to the answer to
Yeah, so the way I
Mhm.
would see it, like you wouldn't be able to do that now. Like there's no way that like me and Thaddeus and 200 other people could go to the building here, the city council, and be like, yeah, let's ban meat eating, and they're gonna be like, yeah, get a bunch of people to sign a petition. Like that would never
Yeah,
happen.
yeah.
Like
I'm
you
just
you would
saying,
have
like,
to
yeah,
you would have to get like at least 50% or something of the world or the country or whatever being vegan. And then it would be like, okay, now it's time to like really make a big change. Like you would have to have a lot of people on board for even,
yeah. That's
for
true.
that to come up.
But I'm just trying to. This is to me like the ideal society. Like realistically, like I don't think like for a while vegans are gonna be able to make any laws actually get laws passed to actually ban meat for a while. Maybe like
Yeah.
500 years, like eventually, because slavery.
500, you think? That's a
Mm,
long time, 500.
Yeah, I think it's
quite
going
a
to be
bit.
more like this, that, since I'm not going to be voting for laws to regulate how we use animals, I'm just going to shame people. That's my approach. I'm
Yeah,
not I'm
shame them.
not even on same side as some vegans maybe. So it's probably going to be like 80 or 90%. I said this earlier that if there's any law passed, it's going to be basically after it does no good. Just like we have laws for child labor.
Yeah.
And no country has ever passed a child labor law while child labor was a significant thing that was going on in a country. And then they also make exceptions. So if you like work on a farm, it's like, well, of course you can work on a farm. Why couldn't you work on a farm?
Yeah.
So I mean, there's exceptions that are exceptions, and then that's it's basically going to do no good by the time we're ready to pass legislation on it.
Yeah, but well, yeah. So that's just my arguments based off like um, because technically these laws I made, they're not even in they're new laws. They're not like laws now we have. I just the way I wrote it was like this would be like, let's say we formed like a new country. These are the law. Like I guess if the United States like passed an amendment, and these are the laws that would have to be followed. That's the way I wrote it.
Yeah. So if you look at it though, just in like you're saying about name the trade, right? That's like that would apply to slavery, stoning women, all these other things that were legal too. And just because it's legal doesn't mean that it's moral.
Yeah,
and if you were in place of the animal, the woman, the slave, any of these people, you would find it immoral, and you would want to be out of that position, right?
Yeah. Well, the thing is not mine. It's actually really morally consistent. It doesn't treat humans or animals any different. They are equally the same under the law. If you're a sentient being, you are equal under the law. What
do you mean? What do you mean by that?
Oh, okay. So I think we should just read go through this systematically.
Okay, so it says sentient being who is born in the United States or its territories, no matter what species, is not giving any protections or rights if it cannot do 3/6 of the following.
3 out of the 6.
3 out of the 6 out of the following. Say or write in Chinese, Spanish, English, Hindu, Arabic, Portuguese, Bengali, Russian, German, French, Japanese, or Korean alphabet. Okay, well, kids can't do that.
Well, yeah, I think that's why it's better if you read the whole thing, because there's
sorry.
Whole thing,
perform sign language, read Braille, do basic arithmetic problems, pass a test following basic instructions. The test is this: pick up a pencil and hold it for 90 seconds with no help. Pass a test of basic instructions. The test is this: not move while fully conscious for 60 seconds. Number 7, breathe in oxygen. So there were 7 things, and it says 3 out of 6 for some reason.
Oh yeah. I'm sorry. I think I forgot to edit it. So 3 out of 7. Sorry about that.
Okay. So one must pass 3 out of 7 tests to be granted rights and protection under the United States laws. Tests must be done 1 week after said sentient being is born in the United States, or it will not be protected under United States law. The times to take the test are unlimited until the deadline. Okay, so 1 week after being born. Okay, so what can a baby do on this list? So breathe in oxygen, obviously, and nothing else.
Yeah. No, this, I'm sorry, but this, you have to read the whole thing. Like, this is really, you got it, like, everything. Like, I thought of all these things you're talking about. Don't worry.
There's a lot more pages down here.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's 14 pages. You want to take over and read a bit here? We'll take turns.
Okay.
Okay, so I'll read number 2 and 3.
Yeah, okay.
So part 2, the test to be granted protections under United States law for those born outside of the United States. If another sentient being who lived outside of the country wishes to become a citizen or the United States, must pass 3 out of 7 tests and pass basic security screening, so we know they'll be safe to let into the country. Part 3, status of protected sentients. Both humans and non-human sentients who pass will be granted rights and protections under the law and will be expected to follow and respect United States law. Protected sentients of different species will not be treated any differently or granted any privileges. All sentient beings who pass 3 to 7 above tests are equal under the law and are expected to responsibly follow the law. Sentient beings who have passed 3 to the 7 above tests are called protected sentients. Okay, so can we address like one thing? Like, because that was the whole section 1. So can we just like address section 1? Because by the time we get to 14 pages, we'll forget even what we read.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah. So, like I said, a baby can only breathe oxygen. So that's one thing.
Hmm.
But then this is kind of just like you made this up though. Like, you know what I mean? Like I
Uh,
don't see how this like you just made up these seven things and you just like are saying that this is how it should be. But why should we just take your word for like this is how it should be?
well, I guess I would. This is like I would ask. Okay, so um, what is a trait that so that I guess because vegans always make the response that vegan uh that sentience is really the only reason we need to give rights and protections to creatures, right? Like animals, as long as
Yeah,
they're sentient.
I kind of never argue that point. I
Well,
kind of just like I kind of like the way I look at it. It's not even really the sentience part. It's just kind of like the golden rule type of attitude, right? Like if you don't want it to be done to you, don't do it to others needlessly. And it's not like you have to give them absurd amount of rights, just the same basic moral rights that you would give to anybody else. But then like it, and just based on the fact that it's unnecessary to eat them for health,
yeah. Well,
which we
I
agree on.
agree with that, but the problem is like animals can't even follow the law. Like let's say a dog shits on my lawn. They technically violated my property rights, correct?
Yeah, so I don't even agree that people should have dogs, so that's different.
Okay, well,
And yeah,
that's fair. All right.
If you want to talk about property rights, I might be the person for that. But
But like, yeah, okay, let's say like a bird, shits on your car. That, that's I think that's happened to everyone at least once in their life, right? Like a bird, would we try that bird? Like if they had the same protections, would we like, oh, violated my that's what's the term when you like you shitted on my car, I guess, or so would that be illegal? Like, should we try that bird for shitting on your car because it violated your rights, your
I
property
wouldn't mind
rights?
taking this if you don't
yeah,
mind.
Yeah, go ahead.
yeah. I was
Go
just
ahead.
waiting for you to answer there.
Yeah.
Yeah, go ahead.
So when you think of babies, for example, they're not really responsible for their actions either, and they are not considered, oh, well, they're property, but they are basically property of their parents. I
Yes.
mean, so that's consistent with how we would interact with animals. That they can get into trouble and they
Mm-hmm.
can do things. So if you own an animal, then you have responsibility to that animal and its interaction. If you live out in nature or interact with nature, there's something akin to homesteading
Okay.
and grandfathered rights. You have a factory on a place, and then it puts out a little bit of local pollution or something, and then you buy the property next to it. You don't have the right to dictate what goes on by your neighbor that's already been going on, and that was going on when the property was built. We do know that these animals live in nature, and we have to respect that, and we have to,
Yeah.
if we want to keep the bears out, we want to put up appropriate
Yeah.
windows and everything. We want to, and if we own domesticated animals and want them to interact safely in society, we have an obligation to protect them. Ownership is often viewed by vegans as the problem, but it is also a tool for protection, and
Mm-hmm.
that's what I would have to say regarding that.
Yeah, I mean, I would just add to it, like if you look at just what the world is, like just what nature is, like an ecosystem, right? And animals are gonna crap, and animals are gonna do this and that. And if an animal does actually like attack you and try to hurt you or something, yeah, then you could kill it, right? Then
Mm-hmm.
I mean, same with
Yeah.
the human, right? You should
Mhm.
be able
Yeah.
to protect yourself. But even the animals that people are killing, like they're not even they're like the most defenseless animals, like cows, chickens, turkeys, like all these little birds that can't even fly. Like a chicken's not going to attack you. A chicken's not going to crap on your car. And when you're in the ecosystem, when you're in nature, like you need animals. You can't just be killing any animals that walk by you and be like, oh, this stupid, thing touched my shoe and then kill. You know what I mean? Like
Yeah.
you just leave stuff alone because you don't want to just leave a giant carbon footprint killing every animal that gets in your way.
Yeah. But
Yeah.
I would say the thing about it's okay, the bird who shits on your car, right? But if
Yeah.
let's say a baby did shit on your car, you would have the right to come go to the parents like, you better pay for my damages or I'm gonna call the cops on you. You could do that, right?
Yeah.
But you can't do that.
How would a baby? Okay, well, I mean, a bird, like it's. I mean, yeah, I get what you're saying, but how would a baby shit on your car?
I'm just giving you like if what if we're like comparing them, like if
Okay, yeah, go ahead.
yeah, like you would have the right to go complain to the parent, your baby, what you're responsible for, shit on my car. You got to pay damages. You can't like if birds are equally protected under law, are we gonna put them in jail unless they clean up your car? Like how is that gonna work?
Yeah, so I mean, animals obviously aren't moral agents, right? And that's just something that you have to deal with because you can't just, like I said, you can't just go around killing all animals because they're moral agents. And if, like I said, if some, I mean, that's just what you, that's the world. You
But
just
is it
have to deal with animals not being able to communicate properly with you. And if they do attack you, yeah, you have every right to kill them. And nowadays, when you got sophisticated equipment and weapons. You got bear spray, you got all this stuff. You can go for a walk in the woods and carry your bear spray. And if a bear does come near you, spray him. Otherwise,
yeah?
just leave the bear
Well,
alone,
yeah,
right?
I agree, but that's still there's a double standard here for the animals that they're allowed to shit on my car, but a baby isn't. Like is
A baby.
Well,
but I mean
So
you know what I mean? Like okay, let's say an adult human would have
okay.
shit on my car versus a bird.
Well,
We
yeah, but then okay, so
that's a
the
double
adult
standard.
human should know better, right? That's the thing. That's the point. But the baby is going to be looked after by an adult human. So it's that
Yeah.
adult human's responsibility,
Yes.
but they are moral agents. So the trait is them being moral agents, which makes it different in the argument, right? It's not the
Yeah.
same
Okay.
thing.
But then why should we treat animals? Why should we give them this? The same gracious. Like we are like, okay, we'll protect. We won't hurt you, but they're allowed to. Not do the opposite. They can violate. Not let's say not kill, but they're allowed to like violate property rights in the sense of they could poop on your car, but you're okay. You're not okay with a human doing that. That's a double standard there. I'm treating both
Well,
equally. I'm holding them to
well,
the
when
same
an
standard.
animal, yeah, when an animal is like, killing you, like what would be the reason why they would kill you, right? Like for maybe you went by their territory, right? You walked into where they're living,
Yeah.
and there was some dangerous animal or something, right?
Yeah.
And that's the same idea as like if a bear went into by your house or was trying to get you or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
That's the same idea why you would kill each other. But like these carnivores play a role in nature, and that's the thing that you have to look at too, is that humans aren't carnivores, right? So carnivores, like, they have to kill. Humans don't have to. So there's a big difference there. I mean, I'm not that concerned about poop though. Like,
I mean,
a
but okay,
bird.
but I'm saying I'm applying the same standard of that if I'm gonna respect the pigeon's right to live, I expect them to respect my rights. I won't go into their property. They won't come to my property. The problem is they do shit on your car. I don't go shit on a bird's nest or anything because I don't violate their right. I'll be okay with that. If they don't violate my rights, I won't violate theirs. The problem is you are granting them that right to violate my rights.
Yeah.
But
so
I kind of
kind of like claiming
understand.
a
Let me
right
say
to
one thing
the,
first.
okay.
I'm sorry.
I kind of understand what you're saying, right? But
Mhm.
like, what does that follow to? Now I get to kill any animal I want and eat them, and animal agriculture is okay because birds crap on my car without repercussion and babies can. So that, you know what I mean? How does that follow into meat eating?
Well, I would. No, the thing is, I think you are. If you, unless they, okay, if the bird is like, okay, I'm sorry, which we know they can't do. The bird's like, all right, I'll clean up, sorry. But the problem is, they can't. They're not capable of doing that. So if they're not even capable of, treating me the same, why should I be expected to treat them the same?
But you don't eat the human after the human craps on your car.
Yeah, but I'm saying, well, it should be justice, right? They should be put in prison. Fine. Let's say we don't eat them. Can we put the bird in prison? You concede that point? Can we put the bird in prison?
No.
And tried?
No.
Okay, so see, you're putting a double standard. So you're granting animals extra rights than me.
Okay. Yeah, let Thaddeus wants to say something. Sorry.
Okay, so this is about as silly. Now, I'm going to compare it to an inanimate object, of course, just for starters. But it's about as silly as having a piece of land and thinking that the rain violates your property rights because it rains too hard or something like that. You buy a piece of land or you claim a piece of land, you're not going to change nature. Your rights do not extend to changing nature like bird poops and such.
Okay.
And we find this in the case of humans as well. And this extends to humans in that if you buy land around a piece of land, it doesn't mean that the person who lives on that land doesn't have the right to go in and out and cross that land. It doesn't change that. So you can't declare some right to not get your not have poop fall from birds in the sky. That's not what land is, and neither is a right to shut up your neighbor in his piece of land. It's all.
I think what follows from what your argument is that people shouldn't own cars, right? Like if you're upset that somebody's pooping on your car, I would just say your car is a terrible thing for the planet. First of all, like your car is the thing that's screwing up nature. It's not the bird that's screwing up nature. The bird is crapping and doing what a bird is supposed to do. A bird craps on the ground, it goes into the ground, it's fertilizer. It's just doing its job, and the human is the one who's actually screwing with something that they shouldn't be and destroying the environment and killing all sorts of things with their cars.
Wait, I'm confused here. So you're equating birds shitting to rain? Is that what you're equating? Am I getting that right?
Yeah, I said something like that. I also equated it to humans' right to, I guess it's not trespass, but passage.
Wait,
I mean,
so are you equating nature to birds? Are they just nature to you, like one and the same to you, or are they different? I consider them different from nature.
I would say they're nature.
Okay, so
it seems like it's something that's asking them to change their nature. Yeah. So, I mean, that's how we use the word.
But we chop down wood, and which is nature trees, to make lumber to build houses. So
yeah, that's bad though too, right?
I mean,
I would say that's bad.
I mean, so
you know what? I was just let me just say this. I was just studying this actually about what causes cancer. And if you like, how people burn wood, right? And that's bad for the environment. But then also when you breathe in the smoke from burning wood, that causes cancer. But not only that, just chopping down a tree, the dust from the wood, if that goes in your sinuses, that can give you cancer. Wood dust, that is a type 1 carcinogen, like up there with plutonium, wood dust and leather dust and all this stuff. So you shouldn't chop down trees either. And that's defense nature's way of saying, don't do this. I'm going to kill you with wood dust.
But I mean, not to be rude, you're living in a house. You yourself are in a house right now that was made off the deaths of trees.
It's unfortunate. I wish I lived out.
Are you?
I wish I lived out in the bush.
Are you an anarcho-primitivist? Is that what you are?
No, I mean, I would say that I want humans to get as close to nature as possible because everybody's kind of moving in the wrong direction. But I would still say that there's tons of benefits to how society has advanced with treating like acute injuries and, education and the internet and things like that. But people are getting too far away from nature. So I wanted to dial it way back.
So wait, I'm sort of, so isn't that what anarcho-primitivism is though?
Yeah, but not 100%, right? Like I don't want it to be like, like I'm kind of, like I want to be a minimalist. The thing is, like, I was born into this society not knowing all of this stuff, and the more I'm learning about it, it's like like I wish I knew about veganism, fruitarianism, more nature things and stuff earlier, because it's kind of like I'm already here. What am I going to do? Move to the tropics?
Would you then? Are you like okay with banning electricity?
No, well, there's probably better ways. Like there's probably better ways of getting
oil and carbon fuel is literally like, I think it's 70% of its power is like electric plants to make the electricity we use.
Yeah, there's probably better ways though, right?
Yeah, so
that's what I want people to figure out.
So would you say like we should like ban electricity until we're able to get to that? Because that's
what I've been promoting on my channel is that animal agriculture is the leading force of environmental damage, and that is the thing that needs to be dealt with first. And then you look at the second problem, and then you deal with that second. I believe fashion is a huge problem as well up there with animal agriculture, and you kind of go down the list. You know what I mean?
Wait, so are they really the same? Oh, actually, I think they're about even. I think I looked this up. They're about even on levels of like, let's say like um maybe a little less like the oil we use from cars, like the carbon fuels we burn, as well as the carbon fuels that's burned from power plants. They're like about even. So shouldn't you argue for both then? Like we should just stop eating meat.
Yeah,
stop,
you're talking about specifically gas emissions. So there's also other things that go along with it, like rainforest destruction, species extinction, ocean dead zones, water usage, land usage. There's just a huge list. So it adds up to like a giant amount.
Yeah, but so then you agree we should like stop electricity and stop eating meat and stop farming and stop destroying rainforests? Is that what I'm hearing here?
I know. So what I'm saying is right now the world is going in a bad direction of too much destruction. So and it seems to be just like getting worse. So instead of going in that direction, let's try to dial it back as much as possible. That's the thing I'm trying to say. Thaddeus wants to say something.
So before, the word I was looking for is right of way. But the thing about when we're talking about what should be is allowing people who are listening to be confused that he is suggesting that we legislate these things. He's convincing people. That's what he's doing. He is talking to people and suggesting, hey, you should consider this behavior and modify it.
Yeah.
So that's a distinction that might be worth noting.
Yeah.
And I tell people also, like, you should be running to work and getting fresh air and not using your cars and stuff like that, and try to compost and do all these things. So I am promoting other things besides just meat eating.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, I guess we could just say our disagreement here is we'll have different. We sort of, you treat animals like as their nature, and that we. I guess you could summarize. What's your view? I don't want to put words in your mouth. So.
Well, there's a lot of things.
The first section.
I'm not like, there's a lot of things that you're probably going to find weird as we go along, because like I don't have the same arguments as Thaddeus as other vegans do. Like, like if you look at a raw meat eater, they're going to have weird arguments compared to a normal meat eater, right? So I say a lot of things about insects and pets and all sorts of things that vegans are going to find like that's absurd, but that's just the way I think.
Like, do you think it should be illegal to kill insects too?
No. I see. Some vegans might say that, which is absurd to me.
Okay,
but I would think that it is like it is actually part of humans' adapted diet. But I wouldn't go out of my way to eat insects. I would eat them if they were on your leafy greens, but you got from your garden.
Yeah, because but I think it's because I'm trying to argue like the ethics. Like, is it okay? Is it not okay?
Yeah. So I just thought I'd bring that up so it doesn't get brought up later, and then you go, wait a minute, insects or something.
Yeah. Okay. So, okay, that's cool. I guess so. I guess my whole thing, by the way, about the child thing, this is actually addressed later in the paper, but we could, we could. I just think I feel
we kind of
like
got off topic though.
Yeah, we did. Sorry about that.
Yeah, but the legality of something though, just in general, doesn't make it moral though, right?
Yeah, but wouldn't you agree? Our laws should be based in morality. I'm trying to. Yeah. Exactly. This is to me my ideal law that's completely morally. What's the term? Morally justified, I guess is the word. Morally fair, just. Yeah.
So it has nothing to do with what's legal now. This is what you want to be legal.
Totally different. Yeah, I'm not appealing to none of none of the new current laws, because something slavery was legal, right? And that was evil.
Yeah. So you kind of just agreed though that it doesn't follow that you should eat the animal, that you're saying that you should lock them up.
Well, I mean, if we're treating them to the same standard as humans, if a human shit on my car and a bird did, they should either pay reparations, or or
how are you gonna catch that bird?
They should go to jail.
How are you gonna find that bird and lock it up?
But I'm just saying, forensics on which bird that was.
I'm just saying, well, right? Wouldn't you agree about that? Isn't that a double standard?
No, because I think it all has to do with what I was talking about moral agency. And then you said a baby, right? And then I said, well, a baby, the mother is responsible for the baby and has moral agency. So yeah, the mother would be in trouble for it.
Yeah,
And I think they
there
should
you go.
be.
Yeah.
But that's not a double standard because the animal is not a moral agent like the mother. So that makes it different.
Okay, well, I guess we could just agree to disagree, and then we could, move on from here, and then we could go to
Here's
the next
Thaddeus
section.
here first.
Yeah,
Sorry.
go ahead.
So I'd be interested in see if we could all define sentience. I don't think we're quite on the same page.
Yeah.
What that means, I didn't get it for a long time. I have no idea what people are talking about sentience, and I've seen things that I just don't really agree. Popular usage and vegan usage don't seem to be quite in line.
Okay.
Do you want to go first, or you want to make me do it?
Well, to me, I just thought as long as you could, or have conscientious. I can't say. I'm sorry. I'm not an English speaker first. So conscientiousness, is that the word?
Consciousness?
Yeah, consciousness. That's it. You're sentient if you have consciousness.
Okay. So it looks like you expect people to be able to think to a certain level or something as an adult, or have potential for it, or something like that. It seems like that's built in there a little bit, but as I understand sentience, it has to do with what people talk about a subjective experience, but there's something that is able to feel pain and respond to it. And basically, I don't really try to peek on the inside or understand it. I try to look at the mechanism. There's something very unique about animals. Let's start there, in that they move. That's what animal means. And I'm not talking about the kingdom animal, because sponges don't move, to my knowledge.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so we're talking about animals in the original meaning, animated, they move.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so only animals have any need for feedback regarding where to move and what to do about anything. So that's something that will tie an animal's ability to sense its surroundings, feel pain, and such. So where if you lose that, you lose the other, basically. It's like, how people who can't hear can't speak very well, and they have to do a lot of work with it. And you can tell that they need feedback of some sort, but one kills out the other. So evolutionarily, they're not tied together. And if there is no need to move, there is no need to feel or have a subjective experience or anything like that. There's no place that feels loss or gets feedback and says, hey, that hurts or something. So that thing that's tied to movement is sentience.
So, but wouldn't insects be under that definition of sentient?
Certainly.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, are you of the opinion all sentient creatures should be left alone, have rights and stuff? I know you
wouldn't use the word rights, no.
Or protection, or right to be left alone.
A measure of respect. If they're trying to get away or avoid pain or something, and letting them do so doesn't hurt you one bit, then I think you should respect that.
Okay. How about you?
Yeah. So along with what Thaddeus said too, like a lot of people add in well-being too, like the idea of like experiencing positive and negative experiences, like also makes you sentient. And the more like you can experience, positive and negative things, like the more sentient you are, right? So like so say like a perfectly normal baby has a whole lifetime ahead of them of positive experiences that could potentially happen to it, or some old person who's a vegetable, right? That's why you would take the baby, save the baby over the old person, because the ability for this, the amount of well-being that this baby could experience, right? So that's a big part of it too.
Okay.
But the way I look at it too, like there's studies out there that show like animal sentience and stuff like that. And, then there's some really dumb, non-peer reviewed garbage studies about plants, that these, raw meat eater people will post and be like, well, plants feel and all this stuff. And it's just nonsense, right?
Yeah.
So like, I mean, I don't even care about the studies or nothing like that. One of the better things that I've heard is to use, I believe it's called inductive reasoning, where if
Okay.
you look at me, like I know I'm sentient, right? I know what I could do. I know I could
Yeah.
feel and hurt and all these things. And then you look at say you had a brother or something who looks like you would say, well, he's probably sentient too. And then you look at other humans and then you go, well, they're probably sentient too. Like they're all humans just like me. And then you look at monkeys and they just look like me. They're doing the same stuff. They're most likely sentient too. And you can go down the list and then being like, well, these pigs, they're really smart at what they're doing. They have a brain. They have all the same features as me. And then you get to a blade of grass, which is on the very end. And you're like, that doesn't have a nervous system, doesn't have a brain, doesn't move, doesn't do any of this stuff that I'm doing. So even if there was no studies, I would still save something that is probably more sentient than the blade of grass, just through inductive reasoning.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, I think we can go on to the next next section of my paper. Section 2. Right. You want me to read it, or you want to read it?
Sure, you can read this part.
All right. Section 2, Protected Child Sentience. Part 1, the Child Protection Act and the status of protected child sentience. All sentient beings who are born in the United States are automatically granted protections under the Child Protection Act. This act required the blood parent to take care of the child by feeding for it, housing it, etc. The blood parent may not sexually abuse the child in any way. Some level of corporal punishment will be allowed. However, no injuries that will severely affect the child for the rest of its life would be allowed. If the blood parent violates this act, they will go to prison for a certain amount of time, maybe even the death penalty, depending on the level of abuse. The Child Protection Act protects the child for the first week since its birth. Sentient beings who are protected under the Child Protection Act are called protected child sentience. You want me to go to the next section, or you want to just talk about that?
So that has to do with the first thing, right? Because you mentioned about the first week of life, right? Yeah. So so you're saying that they don't have to pass that test because they're protected or something? Is that what you're saying?
The first week, all creatures, humans, dogs, rabbits, all of them are protected for the first week. They're protected.
But you said they had to pass a test or something, right?
Yes, to become protected, because right now they're protected child sentience. And then if you pass the test, you're protected sentient.
Yeah, I really don't get that yet because a baby can't pass that test.
Yeah, this is the next section is just for you.
Okay.
This is the answer to that question.
All right.
Part 2, how to be granted an extension under the Child Protection Act. The blood parent who has a social security number may get a time extension of the Child Protection Act to 17 years and 51 weeks, as well as lower the passing criteria for their protected child sentient to only passing one of the 7, of the above tests if they pay a premium of 1 cent. This will involve said blood parent having to pay and sign a contract to get the time extension. Note, once you get the time extension contract and pay the 1 cent, you cannot cancel the contract. This means that the passing criteria to becoming a protected sentient for your child is permanently 1 out of the 7 tests, and the time extension of the Child Protection Act is permanently 17 years and 51 weeks. You also must take care of your protected child sentient by feeding for it, housing it, etc., until the 17 years and 51 weeks are done. So
I just want to point out too, your test is obviously speciesist too, because it's talking about holding a pencil, right? And tons of animals can't hold pencils, and they have no reason to hold a pencil. Like they're like you realize like all animals, like humans only have these things like for picking and peeling and all these other things that you would need to do through your adaptation in order to survive.
I don't agree with that. I think a pig could pick up by its mouth a pencil. It's not that, a pig could do it. They could just, pick it up. A dog could do it too. They could pick up a pencil.
Yeah, but why do you hate fish though?
Well, you know what? But they could do the other tests. They could, in theory, do the other tests.
They can't even breathe oxygen. They got to breathe water in through their gills.
Technically oxygen, but
yeah, I guess.
I mean, it depends on your legal definition of oxygen.
Well, I guess we differed. I didn't think of fish. But you guys don't really care about fish as much as the others, right? The cows.
Well, of course you do. Of course I do.
The cows.
What's wrong with fish? Fish are smart. Fish are acting
Well,
like
okay,
people don't
hey, as
understand
long
how
as
smart
as long as they could
fish
pass the
are.
test, as long as they could pass the test, they were granted the rights.
Well, fish actually probably could hold a pencil, but it'd be in their
Yeah.
mouth. They
See,
can use
there you go.
tools and stuff.
Yeah,
But
they
that's
could do
not in
that.
their hand. So it's speciesist.
I just said hold. I didn't say in their hand. Did I say in their hand? I just said
Oh, I
hold.
thought you did.
Did I say in their hand? Maybe I did. I'll check.
Pick up a pencil. Okay, yeah, you just said pick up a
Yeah, see,
pencil.
not there's no speciesism there. You could any creature is able to pick up something.
So we said with no hands. So like 100 ants can't pick up a pencil and walk with it. Like, this is I don't know, this test. It doesn't seem like it's well thought out for every animal though, because every animal is so different.
Not the most relevant.
But you already conceded you don't care for the insects, right?
I care for insects. I just said you should eat them when they're on your plants because they're part of your adapted diet, and then otherwise they just go to waste.
Okay. So wait, but would you have a law against killing insects? That's the most important question. Would you have a law against killing it? I mean,
well, okay. There's not a. I mean, if you think about like killing insects, right? So you got a kid who just goes outside and starts stomping on insects. You can't just lock that kid up because the kid doesn't know any better, right? And then what age does the kid not know any better to just go stomp on insects? Plus, you're going to stomp on insects no matter what. Plus, you're mowing your lawn. Plus, you're driving your car. Everything kills insects. So that's going to be an insane law to even enforce.
That's a no then. You wouldn't want it to be illegal.
No,
yeah, so there we go. They're not protected. They don't have rights then. There you go.
Screw them. Screw the bugs. All right, let's move on.
Okay.
So, but when people think about rights and everything, there's something to be said for a difference between making a law that establishes a right and some sort of right existing. It's, we would expect parents to be able to protect their offspring. And so do we have to write a law for that, or will a law help in most situations? It doesn't add to most situations. And the few that it would add to is a lot of policing to ever find.
Yes and no, because I think the problem is like you kind of do have to write that into the law. Like you have, if like, because then you could someone like, well, okay, I'm just gonna have a child and then oops, jump, leave it on the ground. I don't have to take care of it, right? So we kind of do have laws like that already, that you have to take care of your child, right?
Yeah, but do I want to pay for them?
The child?
Do I want to pay for those laws? I don't know if you want to. I mean, it's not that great to leave everything up to evolution, of course, because people can step in. But
so you are you saying it's okay like for like the mother to like abandon the child on the ground and just go, well, no, it's okay.
Okay, and making a law against it and making someone else pay to for someone's shortcomings, for someone else's shortcomings.
So
different things.
So you agree though that if I have a child, I have the right to abandon that child on the on the pavement, as long that's okay. There should be no law against that. That's okay.
I mean, what do you mean by law? Do you want to like say, hey, you don't do this, and this is law, you shouldn't do that?
Let's say the police will lock that mother up for doing that.
That sounds like you're taking money out of my pocket.
So you're saying you're against that law? Yes or no? That's just a yes or no question.
I have no particular need to make a law.
So no.
For example, I don't need a law to tell someone to not strike themselves or
no. Yeah, I'm okay with
shoot themselves.
I'm okay. But the problem is you had a child.
Mm-hmm.
So you could have had the abortion, but you didn't. And you could have had protection, all the other pre-steps. Let's say the mother was like, all right, this child is just annoying, I'm done, and then just leaves it on the ground. You're saying that's okay?
Yeah, I think there should be a law against that, and people should come in and take that child. Yeah, I would say that. But
yeah,
I don't know what Thaddeus thinks.
You are on the same page, but he's literally like, oh no, I mean that child, nope, that child shouldn't. So I guess I think we're having, so you and I agree, Logan, but not Thaddeus. He doesn't agree with us that we shouldn't have a law against that. So
veganism isn't always an echo chamber as people would think.
Yeah, I don't. It sounds kind of cruel. Oh well, you got a really really bad mom, and so I'm gonna let her have her way. No, I can probably intervene. I don't necessarily need a law.
What's going to happen to the kid though?
What's going to happen to the kid? She's got a bad mom, sounds like. I don't know what to do about that. That's pretty distressing.
No, but like you wouldn't want like social services to come in and take the kid.
I don't know. That
Well,
sounds
I think
sounds
under
like it
him,
costs money, and then
yeah,
it's
under
like
him,
something that we could just have someone who's
yeah, I don't
on
know.
who sees it. I mean, someone has to see it.
So
Yeah,
yeah,
but somebody sees it, but then what happens?
About it. It's like
What are they
if
gonna do? They go punch the mother or something? Like, what are they gonna do?
I mean, if she's going to abandon the child, I guess if you pick it up, I mean, what's she going to do? Complain?
I don't know if you're missing the point of the
no,
question.
the point is like,
Yeah, we're talking about imposing a law on a situation just because it's a little messed up.
yeah,
and,
no,
and
but the
charging
problem
people to
is
regulate
affecting
it.
the child. It's not like, okay, I'm okay with if you want to, if you want to kill yourself, that's fine. It's your life. You have the right to choose. The problem is you chose to have a child, and then you decide to not to abstain responsibility. It's like if you signed a contract and it was like, all right, I'm done. This contract's too much. I'm out of this contract. There's basically a contract the moment you have a child that you're gonna take care of that child.
So you're okay with abortion in the 5,000th trimester, is what you're saying
Are you talking to me or him?
to him?
Okay.
That was a joke.
Okay.
Yeah, no, I'm not okay with it. That doesn't mean I need to pay for a law for it.
Yeah, I kind of get what you're saying, but I would want to pay for. I mean, out of the importance of what you would be paying for laws, I would think that would probably be a big one.
Well, I'm arguing something that's pretty indefensible, but it's
I'm
not
curious,
like
are you an anarchist, like anarcho-capitalist, or are you like a libertarian, or what are you? I would consider myself.
I mean, you do know that he's wanting us to talk ourselves into also regulating nature. It's like go out in nature and regulate that.
Yeah, I mean,
Like,
I'm not going to avoid answering
the regulating nature whenever technology catches up. I mean, there are people out there that are up for that, but
yeah, I'm not going to avoid answering the question though, like just because like it might lead somewhere where he's going to try to get me with a little gotcha or something. Because I'm still going to answer it honestly.
Yeah, I'm not for laws to give us rights or anything. Sorry about hijacking it.
That's all right. Go. Like, what is the point though? Like, let's get to the point.
Are you talking to me?
Yeah, let's get to the point
about
of this.
About what I asked.
Leaving a kid on the side of the road. What does that have to do with stabbing animals?
That was just not. Yeah, that was actually that had kind of nothing. I was just interested. Like, oh, that's kind of fascinating. Like, oh, you really wouldn't be for that. It's like, oh, okay, like that's kind of interesting. Sorry about that. That didn't technically had nothing to do with discussion, but that was just interesting to me.
Okay, yeah. What's the next point here? What are we talking about?
So yeah, we read that section too, right? So you heard that you do have the ability to what's it called? Where is it? You have the ability. The blood parent has the ability to pay for an extension of the Child Protection Act. You got that right?
Sure. Okay. Yeah, let's just read a bunch here. We'll keep going until we can discuss this better.
Yeah, okay. Where are we at? Part 3, right?
Yeah.
Okay. Part 3, special rights and privileges a protected child sentient is granted. A protected child sentient cannot be put under the death penalty even if it did something as horrendous as murder or rape another protected sentient, protected child sentient, protected slow sentient, or owned sentient. It will instead be sent to prison depending on the severity of the crime. A protected child sentient, however, will not be punished if she does something horrific to a non-protected sentient. Let's keep going. Part 4, if the parent or guardian fails to get the time extension and if a protected child sentient is behaving poorly. If the blood parent fails to sign the contract by the time 1 week is up, then that means that the child will not get the time extension and can be treated as mere non-protected sentient. If the blood parent is unable to control the protected child sentient and the protected child sentient is constantly committing petty crimes, the protected child sentient will be sent to a youth detention center, and the time that protected child sentient is there, I misspelled that, is dependent on the severity of the crimes it has committed. Part 5, what happens if the guardian parent dies prematurely? If the blood parent dies prematurely before their child protected sentient does, then the government will become responsible for feeding for it, housing it, etc., until the protection expires under the act the blood parent paid for. However, a blood relative or close friend of the original blood parent may request to take guardianship until the protection expires under the act the blood parent paid for. This is only if they are approved to be responsible enough by a government social worker. So we could talk about that. if you guys want.
Yeah. This I just got like I don't know what the point of this whole thing is though. I'm still kind of lost of like
What do you mean?
why we're even reading this. It's kind of like you just want this to be the way, but it's kind of like there should be a way to just be like this is this, this is this. Like it seems very complex for no reason, which is kind of leading nowhere.
Well, how is it complex?
Well, because you wrote 14 pages.
I mean, that's bills are much longer than that. There's much longer bills in
Yeah,
That's true.
And this would be
much
extended.
longer.
This would be extended much longer than
Yeah, this-
what's represented here.
This is just like, this is a much more simplified, way. Well, okay, what's wrong with my system? First, you got to say what's wrong with it. It's not morally, it's not treating anyone different. This is a fair test for all sentient creatures. So you can't say it's unfair. It's fair.
Why is it a fair test? Like you're just saying it's fair, but like I pointed out earlier, like about oxygen, and like you didn't even think about fish or nothing. And then like about holding things, do you know every animal can hold something? Like can they say a bat, like a small fruit bat? Can a fruit bat hold a pencil? Do you have any idea? I don't know.
Well, okay. Why? Okay, but then tests aren't fair by their definition. Tests aren't meant to be fair. It's just if you have the criteria abilities to pass the test, you are able to pass. Like I'm like some people are born more intelligent than others, right? And there's some complex. They can't ever be they can never get a PhD. This is the same thing.
Yeah.
So this is this will only the people who can pass these tests will be able to pass.
But it's not for people though. Like I said about animals, like there's going to be animals out there that probably can't do this stuff, and that doesn't mean they're worthless.
I didn't say they were worthless. I just say they don't get rights and protections under the law. It's totally different.
Yeah, but it's kind of like you're just arbitrarily picking over some weird pencil and oxygen test.
No, but there's other tests too. Don't move for 60 seconds.
Don't move for 60.
Or like
okay, that's no
anyone can do that. Anyone can do that.
When they're sleeping, yeah, anybody could do that when they're
no,
sleeping.
you have to be fully conscious. You have to be fully conscious. I put that in there. So you have to be awake and not move. So
okay, so what if you're half asleep and you just go and you go back to sleep? That counts.
Fully conscious, fully conscious, fully conscious.
Okay. Laws might have a problem.
Yeah. It just seems like okay, I made this. This is what should happen. But like I haven't really heard like this is what should happen because
to be granted rights and protection under the law. This is what the tests are for. Go ahead.
Okay. Go ahead,
as I understand it, he's trying to reduce us to absurdity. Here's the logical conclusion of granting rights. The rights are granted by laws, and the rights that we would extend to humans ought to be extended to animals or something.
Yeah, and then pass the test.
And so this is basically reducing to absurdity the amount of legislative overreach and burden and taxes and
okay. Let's be realistic. A vegan government to enforce vegan laws is way more costly and be even crazier than the laws I want. Let's be realistic here. Don't shit on my idea. And let's
it's not because veganism is a consumer movement. It's not a legislative thing. Right now, it's just people not buying stuff. They boycott.
Well, the problem is
a personal choice to boycott.
By that logic, you're basically treating you're treating meat eaters as smokers. Like you shouldn't smoke. It's not good for you, and it's bad for is that what you're arguing then?
Yeah, we tell people that stuff.
And wait, you don't think there should be laws against meat eating?
I don't know how to make a law against meat eating that is effectual. I want to convince people.
I mean, well then at that point, then what's like? I think we're kind of arguing from different. I'm literally arguing for the ethical bedrock of why it's okay to eat meat. You guys are literally just arguing, oh no, you should be vegan for these reasons. There's totally different reasons to argue.
I have a different thought on it. Like right now, there is laws against mistreating dogs, cats, all sorts of pets and things like that. And there's no problems with those laws going on right now. So why can't you just extend that law to whatever other animals and be like,
I'm
Go
sorry.
on.
You go ahead. You want to go ahead?
Yeah, so I mean, like, if you just abolished animal agriculture, right, and the 60 billion, land animals just went away, then you would just be left with nature and pets. If people still had pets, that might be the next thing to go. But you can't just go into the woods and just start killing animals like that. People get arrested here all the time for illegal moose hunting, bear hunting, doing all these things. There was just in the paper, it said a couple days ago, $3,000 fine for two people shooting a couple mooses or whatever,
Yeah.
moose.
You know what?
So that could be like, it doesn't have to be you go to jail. It could be any sort of law, and that's still going on right now. You just extend it to farm animals.
Yeah, but the thing about that is I technically find that philosophically inconsistent. I mean, okay, so what, you don't have the right to torture a dog, but you have the right to eat a cow? Like that's inconsistent. I actually don't like those laws because they're so inconsistent.
So you just want to eat cat, or you want to eat dogs?
I mean, I want to be philosophically consistent.
I appreciate consistency.
So I want philosophically consistent. So I get angry at people who say, "Oh, it should be wrong." I mean, I'm not okay. This would be weird, but people who are like, "Oh, they find out, let's say, like, a human like raped an animal," and I'm like, "What are you talking about? You literally eat and torture and cut these, animals apart. Why? So you're saying rape is like
Yeah.
worse? So you're being
I use that argument all the time. I
Yeah,
say, "Would you rape an animal?"
That's why I
So,
hate like those meat eaters who like were so I hate it, like when they're inconsistent about their views. Like, oh, this is okay, but not this. Like
mhm.
they have to be consistent.
Yeah,
That's what I'm saying.
yeah.
So
So
yeah. I don't know. I think we're kind of arguing different things here because I think I'm actually arguing for like if laws and like but you guys are not. You don't even think the government should be involved in making these laws for against vegans. You're just saying you're just promoting it. Which yeah, I say same thing, I admire that. But
well, no,
you guys don't
it's
want to
not.
see
It's nothing to
laws.
do. It's nothing to do with that. If everybody just like went vegan, right, or majority of people, and they're just decided to abolish animal agriculture, and then the rest of the people had lab meat or something, right? That would be
Yeah.
perfectly fine because it's the same. It's the same meat. You're just now
Yeah.
getting it from,
But
and then government would step in and do that, and then there's no problem. I think 50% of people, they did a survey, have already agreed that they would eat lab meat. Like that's not a big
I
deal.
agree, but we have to treat the world as it is now. We have to base our laws on the way the world
Yeah.
is now, not how it might be. I'm
Yeah,
saying
well,
now
that's
these
actually
are
this year. This year they're coming out with lab meat. It's supposed to be by the end of 2018. I just saw.
well, okay. If that does happen, then I think that's good. But I'm saying like right now, if we were to make, I'm saying my laws, they're not inconsistent. Like they are, it is treats everyone fair. Think of it this way: if a human couldn't pass these tests, they wouldn't get right to eat it. I'm not treating any, um, if a squirrel, could do it, they could get the rights. But if a human couldn't, they couldn't get the rights. I'm fair when I, write these laws out.
Yeah. The
I
thing
didn't
about
say
me is
all
I don't
humans
even
get it
care about
automatically.
changing the laws right now, right? So this might be like, yeah, a thing that you want to do, like your agenda is to make this law, consistent. And I don't think any vegan's going to hop on board with this. And
I mean,
veganism is the fastest growing movement, and they're
I
just
mean,
going to keep pushing the
yeah, but
grassroots
that's not an
movement, and
yeah,
then this isn't going to
yeah,
this
but
is going to be irrelevant.
that's an appeal to authority. I'm not authority. I'm sorry. Appeal to majority. Yeah, that's not an argument against what I wrote. You're
Yeah,
just
I
saying,
know what
oh,
you're saying.
vegans
I'm
were
just saying this is
that's
going
not
to be irrelevant though when the world goes vegan.
well, then wait, what's the point of arguing for it if it's just gonna happen then? Why even have these if it's just gonna happen,
It's
it's just
true.
gonna happen. So
That's true.
why even promote it at all if it's gonna happen? So you
Well, I
just
promote it just to make it happen faster.
I mean, so then like why even like what's the, so you I don't get why. So why is there even an out? If it's just gonna happen, it's gonna happen. Like let's be
True.
real. Humanity is gonna end one day. That is, that's it's not gonna. Humanity will not live forever. So we just
So
kill
give
all
up?
Yeah,
like
I told my mom this the other day. I said, "Mom, everything's predetermined," and she said, "No, it's not." And I said, "Yeah, it is, because whatever's going to happen is going to happen." And she says, "Yeah, but you don't know what's going to happen." And I said, "Yeah, but it is going to happen. It's still going to be a surprise, but it's still going to happen, whatever it is, right?" And it's
okay,
veganism. It's veganism.
yeah, but we only got like the first few pages. We didn't get through the whole thing, but um,
If there's any like big points that you want to bring, I mean, it is pretty long. We're on a couple pages.
I
This is
think
gonna be like a 6-hour live stream if we
I
keep
think
going.
we get the general idea of what you're going for here, and there's really nothing consistent about these tests. I mean,
How are they not
oh,
consistent? Any creature who can do it,
right.
as long as any creature can do it, they pass. It's not any. There's nothing about it that's inherently.
I understand you have a criteria that excludes some humans. That's fine.
How does it? How does it exclude humans? If they can do it, they
Oh,
can pass.
right. You say if.
But a human can pass. It's not all. It's not like all humans will pass. It's not for sure all humans will pass.
Right.
So it's not.
Yeah.
Why are you saying it's unfair?
No, I'm not saying it's not a consistent standard, but
So it's consistent.
Yeah.
but
It's totally unfair.
as Ask Yourself would say, you're biting the bullet on humans. That's all.
How is it? Well, I'm not. I didn't put anything about humans in there.
Right. Right. But you're biting the bullet on some humans. I mean, that's.
I don't know what that means. What does that mean?
Like,
exactly?
Some humans aren't included, right?
Well, yeah, they wouldn't.
Retards.
Modern men, yeah, they wouldn't. Yeah,
So
it's consistent.
if we were doing something based on sentience, it would probably be based on movement for a test. It's just for our guess that it's sentient. If it moves,
But if you
that
go
it
that
has
far,
a need to protect its body and things like that. You know, I could see including AIs, for example, if it moves and has a need to protect its body. Some AIs are not dependent on a body or anything like that. That's an option as well. And they wouldn't be, I mean, just because it moves, you know, it's just re-uploaded clone or something. Maybe it doesn't care about its individual body in the same way. You'd have to ask it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and you know what's different too? Like, so people would say like a lobster is dumb as shit. Like I've heard a lot of people say that. I think Sam Harris has even said like like if you're gonna be vegan, you could still eat lobster or something because they're dumb as shit or something like that. He said, right? But
Okay.
like they could hold a pencil, but fish can't, and fish are smarter than lobsters. So it's not even really based off intelligence. It's just
didn't say intelligence.
you have a hand. And the other one doesn't.
Intelligence isn't in the description. I didn't.
Yeah, no, but what is the? I don't understand the hold a pencil thing. I just don't get it.
Okay, hold a rock.
What does that have to do with anything?
It could be hold a rock. I could change it if you want.
Yeah, but a lobster could still hold a rock, but a fish can't.
Yeah, and just needs to pass 2 more tests to get rights and protections. I didn't say a lobster couldn't ever become a protected citizen of the United States.
But I'm just saying it's not even based off intelligence, which is weird. It's based off holding a pencil.
Rocks are a lot cheaper.
Why does it have to be intelligence? Okay, so why should it be intelligence?
Well, I mean, just the intelligence, like to me, would at least make a little bit more sense than holding a pencil. That's all I'm saying.
The problem, okay, this is why I wrote it that way, because most meat eaters would make let's say they did the alien thought experiment, right? Oh, why can we treat animals worse? Oh, they're not as smart as humans, correct? That's usually what they say, right? Would you agree with that? They're not as intelligent.
I didn't hear what you said.
I'm sorry. Animals we can treat animals the way we do because they're not, as intelligent as humans, right? You agree? Most people would, like, at least meat eaters would make that argument.
Yeah.
And then there's two thought experiment or two counters. One is, okay, how about mentally retarded? So they go, oh no, not mentally retarded, and then they already lost that. They failed on that argument. Or yeah, you could kill the mentally retarded. They go with that second one. Oh, and then another one is vegans will use, oh, how about an alien of a superior alien species, correct? Came down to Earth.
or a subspecies. I like the argument of a subspecies better.
Yeah, well, came down to Earth and they were way more intelligent than us, and they could they have super technology. They could destroy us anytime they want, right?
Okay, yeah.
Then they'd say, they would say, oh no, it's not fair, or oh no, it's fair. Yeah, they would just basically become a might makes right argument.
Yeah,
but I'm not doing that. What my tests do is, as long as any creature can pass these tests, they're granted rights and protections.
Yeah, I just to me it's just an arbitrary test, though.
How's it arbitrary?
Because first of all, the pencil thing. Then I'm unsure about the oxygen thing, and then you're just putting in types of human languages. Like, so it's just completely speciesist.
But you could
be like, well, only the animals that can speak human languages are going to get rights.
Okay, well, the last 3 tests any creature can do in theory. Anyone can do the last 3 tests.
Okay, so if any creature can do the last 3 tests, then all creatures are given rights.
If they can pass.
how are you going to make every creature take this test?
Well, then simply they just gotta come to the place and just
That's impossible. What are you
how's
talking
it not
about? So you
impossible?
have a building and all these crabs and lobsters and fish and every animal. You realize there's trillions of sea animals. You're just
Yeah,
going to get them all lined up in front of some building and take this test one by one. Like that is
yeah,
insane.
they just have to come. It's sort of like a court order, right? Your jury dirty. If you're sent a court order, you then must come to the place at a certain time.
But they
That's what
don't even
happens.
understand the court order.
Well,
They
then
don't
why
even.
should they? Why if they can't even reasonably follow the law? Why should they even be granted protections of rights under the law?
So you're just saying you just made up a test that no animal could pass,
I didn't
and
say they
then
could.
so
If they can't pass,
well
they
they
can't.
can't even follow the court order to show up to the building, so none of them can
Then
pass it.
that's their. Then that's not. But that's their fault. Then that's not my fault. I'm being consistent here.
Well, it
I'm
is
not
your
just,
fault because you made the test that doesn't work.
but it's not inconsistent. How is it? So I don't get it. You're basically arguing for, oh, please make it so animals can pass. See, you're not arguing what's wrong with the test. The tests are fair to every creature.
No, it isn't. The entire, like I just mentioned, not all creatures can hold pencils. Some don't breathe oxygen. It depends what you count as oxygen, and the whole rest of it
Okay, all right.
is
Let's say I
doing
take.
English.
Okay, let's say I take out the writing one and put swimming. Is that fair? Can I add that too? Would you give me changing that? Then it'll be more fair. I'll be okay with
It's
what
not
swimming.
fair because you just said they can't even show up to the building to take the
It
test
is
because
fair.
they don't understand the
They have
court
to show
order.
up though. They have to show up. So I have to walk through their hand how to get the right. If they're responsible, if they can responsibly follow the law, they should be able to responsibly be protected.
You okay? Go ahead, Thaddeus.
Yeah, just from a human rights perspective, having their sentience called into question, and it's like, well, you don't understand what language I have to speak to you, or find someone for them to speak it, and then you're kind of biased in the way you distribute information as well. It's like, how much effort are we going to put into this human tribes person, and then how much effort are you going to put into this one over here? It's like you've got a system that's way heavy on helping people out, or it's just basically violating rights that should be assumed.
But okay, rights are given by the government. Would you not agree with this?
No, I don't agree with that.
Really, rights are given by the government.
No,
If you were in
they're
China,
not.
you would be shot. Like you would be shot for like the things you say.
So
That's the point. The rights are given by the government. So the government is the one that should, right?
that doesn't detract from my rights.
Yes, it does.
Someone
You
doesn't
apply.
acknowledge them.
Yes, you.
No, it doesn't make it wrong.
Yes.
It's right.
What? No, because rights are given by the government.
Well, there's different types of rights, obviously, right? Like there's the right to
Our government doesn't claim that
About what?
about rights.
What about rights?
The rights that are acknowledged by our government are not claimed to be derived from the government.
I mean, yes and no, but the government protects your rights.
Okay,
Okay, here's
maybe.
here's one thing I'm also curious about. Okay, you don't want to pay taxes to protect for prevent mothers from abandoning their kids. Okay, so then like how would, let's say, how do I put this? How would the government ever like protect animal rights? Like, should we not do that then to either? Like they should.
Right. Yeah, I wouldn't make the
And
government protect
here's
animal
another
rights.
thing. Do you believe in, like, let's say, social security or like anything like that? Or like,
No, not really.
so okay, so then you don't like handouts.
Yeah, in nature, they would be a bad thing.
So nature, technically animals are leeching off of the protection. They get like they're leeching off the protection of the US technically because they're not paying taxes to the US.
What do you mean? Like pets, or you mean animals just in the bush?
All animals. No animals pay protection to the US.
Why should they have to pay protection though?
Well, if they want to be granted rights and under the law.
No, they don't want to be granted rights under the law.
Well, then we can treat them as we can treat them as a foreign invader then by that logic.
Yeah, that's true.
Well, then we could kill them. You're
Right.
okay killing them.
Right. I mean, if they're invading, yeah.
They're occupying our land.
occupying and invading. I mean, I don't know.
They're occupying.
Right.
So you're okay with us, the government, killing all animals as long because they don't pay taxes, because they're leeching off of the public.
They're
What's it called?
leeching off.
Yeah,
Public.
the public. The
No,
public.
no, we're not asking the government to pay for them.
Yeah, we do. We pay for rainforests. We have national parks. They are technically.
That's for humans purposes.
No, but you just said that you don't want any government money for that.
Right,
You don't want
but
any
I
government
don't
money
really
for
want that stuff.
So
It
you would
just
be okay.
exists
So
for
you
the
would
purpose of humans to enjoy.
So you would be okay with us getting rid of that, protecting.
Yeah, I don't have any particular need for national parks. You know, if you did not have animal agriculture crowding out natural environments, then basically that's my way of solving that problem. We don't have to have these little teeny tiny reserves.
So you'd be okay with getting rid of like just that?
I would be okay with there not being a need for them.
Yeah, the one thing that is kind of like this whole paper isn't really talking about. This is talking about like all animal rights and human rights and all these things like should be equal and consistent and stuff like that. I don't even think like vegans aren't really arguing that. They just want to abolish animal agriculture and hunting. Like that has nothing to do with like giving exact rights and these certain have laws and stuff like that. It's like just get rid of this big thing that's putting meat in grocery stores and Do
you want it to be made illegal to do agricultural farming? Illegal?
Well, the nicest thing would be if just people realize that this is just ridiculous.
It's a yes or no. Do you want it to be illegal?
For what?
To do that? To do agricultural farming.
What kind of agricultural farming?
Yeah,
the one it's currently at right now.
You mean animal agriculture?
Yeah, sorry. Thank you.
Yeah, and I actually would be against like monocultures too, and say that people should have permacultures.
But I mean, according to him, why should my taxes go to protecting these cows who aren't even going to ever pay taxes?
No, the cows shouldn't exist. They should all be. I mean, all the cows that are alive now are going to die, right? I just want you to breed more cows.
So we should just leave the cows alone.
Just the ones right now are going to die. You could actually have, like, say, a bunch of cows just left, and maybe the ones that are left, let them go crap on the ground and eat some grass, do whatever. But that's the little cows that are left and do their thing. But most of them they're all dead. Just don't breed more.
So just stop them from breeding.
You don't have to stop them. They artificially inseminate them now. Okay. If they didn't do that, then they would not.
That should be illegal. That should be illegal.
What? Yeah, it should be illegal to shove your whole arm up a cow's ass and get it pregnant and then torture it and kill it. Yeah, that should be.
What if a dog comes and humps my leg? Can I try that dog for rape? How about that?
No, because it's not a moral agent, and plus you shouldn't have dogs.
I mean, okay. You see, you're giving this double standard of as we have to treat animals better than they treat us.
Right.
Yeah, because it's like you saying, well, this handicapped guy hit me, so I should be able to just punch him in the face whenever I want to because he hit me, right?
I mean, it should. Yeah, that's fair because he hit you first.
Not.
He hit you
no,
first.
It's not.
He hit you first. He hit you.
You should help him. You should help the handicapped guy
first without you doing anything. If you like hit him first, then fine. But if he hits you first, you have the right to hit him back.
No, but we're talking about specifically self-defense now. I was talking about like a handicapped guy can potentially hit you and stuff. So now you should just go and be able to eat him.
No, not if
just punch him anytime you want. You should do whatever you want to him.
I'm saying the tests are the ones to determine if they're protected under the law. I didn't ever say anything about. See, you keep ignoring my test, and then you keep bringing it back whenever you guys want to.
Can cows, chickens, and pigs all hold pencils?
In their mouth. It's easy. Yeah, just pick up. If they could.
Okay, so they're all going to pass the test. What are we going to eat now?
If they can.
What are we eating? What are we eating now? All these 60 billion animals pass the test, and now they're just living.
I said if they can pass the test. Okay. We don't know how many. Maybe half the humans will fail. Maybe half the cows will pass.
Let's say they do. Let's say they do. Let's say 60 billion. Let's say 60 billion chickens pass the test.
They're treated
We're just going to leave them all there, and they're just going to stay in their little animal agriculture building.
No, they can leave.
Set them free.
They have rights.
They can leave.
No, they have the same. Yes, they are individual. Like
We're going to be living in crazy world.
They
This is
can
going to be
Yeah,
chicken world.
see that's if they pass. So that's philosophically consistent, though. It's fair. Is it not fair?
I mean, just because something is consistent doesn't mean you should do it, right? Nihilism is consistent. That doesn't mean everybody should be a nihilist.
Yeah, but what's wrong? Okay, but so I'm confused here. So it sounds like you wanted to kill all the cows just then. Like, oh, there's gonna be too many cows. Let's kill them all.
No, they're gonna get killed anyways, is what I said.
Yeah, but you make it sound like, oh, if we let too many cows live, it'll ruin society. You basically made that implication by saying.
Well, yeah,
that.
Will. You can't just let all those cows and chickens go.
We should just genocide those cows then.
They're gonna be, yeah.
So no, you saying we should do that? So we should do it. We should kill them all. Okay.
Yeah. Well, not we, not you and me.
The government.
We're not gonna go kill them.
So the government.
Yeah.
So okay, well that's actually more extreme than me. I don't want to kill cows needlessly. I'm just saying if they can
you do.
No,
you want to kill more cows than me.
I did not say I want to
kill
that. I just said if they can pass the test, they can do it. If they can't, then
no. But you're paying people to make burgers for you and meat and steak. So you want to kill more cows than me.
I don't agree with the current ethical system. I don't.
No, but you're paying to have them breed more. So you want to kill more cows than me.
This has nothing to do with the argument I'm saying. You're switching. I said I don't agree with the current system that is implemented right now. I want my system the way I wrote to be implemented.
Yeah, I'm just talking about you're talking about your system and I'm talking about reality. So in reality, these cows are dead. In reality, you want to kill more than I did.
But we're talking about if the paper is even real. Like we're talking about what I wrote, not what is happening now. I'm saying what I wrote. If it was implemented into constitutionally. Under the law. That's what I'm talking about.
Go ahead, Thaddeus.
So just to address what you wrote, you wrote something that is biting the bullet according to AY. Just channel AY for a little bit. You're biting the bullet and you're okay with these less functional people being excluded in whatever way that means. Whatever that means, I guess
no, they aren't.
If that means you can eat chickens, then you can eat these retards or whatever don't function.
Okay, yeah, sure. If they can't pass the test,
you have bitten the bullet, and we at this point, if we were ask yourself, he would have just said, "I'll just leave that up to the audience." I mean, is that what you really want?
You didn't even read the whole paper. Why are you guys?
You admit that this excludes some humans.
Well, hey. What I'm trying to don't you want to get to the ethical bedrock of this? Don't you want to really have a discussion?
Well, I told you to if you want to drive home certain points, you could do that. But I reading a 14-page thing.
14 pages. That's less than vegan cookbooks. Come on, you can read 14 pages. Come on, that's not that much.
What is going to be the be all end all of this though? I don't get it. We're just going to be
you're not even trying to understand my point. Why you're not even trying? You don't even want to read the whole thing. Why should I even take you seriously then?
Well, because of the initial part of the test that you can't even really explain how it's why they should all know languages that are invented by humans.
Okay, so
I could make a test tomorrow and be like. Okay, you have to be able to fly for 1 mile at this elevation, with your wings. You have to be able to sing a bird song. You have to be able to do that, and it's all just stuff that birds can do. And then therefore you're getting murked.
So you'd get murked too. So you'd be down.
But that's the test I made, and it's consistent. You'd be okay with it.
Yeah, so okay, if you can convince enough people to do it, that's fine. So, but I'm saying you can do that if you want.
Okay, but what makes that test good that I just made? I just made it. That's my point. Is what makes your test good?
It's not good. It's consistent. I actually admire. At least you're consistent. It's a consistent system, so I don't mind it. It's because as long as it's consistent, morally consistent, I don't necessarily. I'm not necessarily going to say it's bad because it's consistent. So what I'm saying is though, fine, under your law, fine. Who's gonna enforce it? Who's gonna enforce these laws? Who's gonna even enforce your government laws though? Okay, birds are gonna have guns on. They don't. Are the birds gonna enforce these laws? Who's gonna enforce these laws?
Okay, So what I was saying about laws, I don't know Thaddeus who wants to say something, but what I was saying about laws is that there already is the laws. Like there already is laws against hurting animals that aren't farm
And
animals.
they're
And if you
philosophically
just
inconsistent.
abolish the animal agriculture laws, I mean the animal agriculture, then it's still the same laws. You just
No,
abolished animal
they're
agriculture.
philosophically inconsistent though.
Why is it inconsistent?
Because what we can't because what you can't kill a dog and treat it like terribly, but you can treat a cow terribly and sell it for product. That's philosophically inconsistent. I don't
No, but no,
agree
there
with that.
wouldn't be animal agriculture, so it would be consistent.
Oh, so if you're saying animal agriculture was erased, it'd be
Yeah, then it'd be the same as it is now. And all animals, you would pay fines and you would be in trouble for abusing them, which is
yeah,
what's
but okay,
happening now.
but why should we treat animals the same though? At that point, they don't pay taxes. They should be kicked out the country. At the very least, kicked out the country. Let's say not kill, kick out the country.
Nobody said treat animals the same as humans. You're just giving them basic moral rights. Like if you go kill, like I said, a couple of moose or whatever, and you're not supposed to, you get a $3,000 fine or whatever the government decides that you got.
So
right?
you think it should be illegal to do that though? To kill moose?
It is right now.
No, I'm
just
saying,
said
what
that.
do you think? Not what. Just now you're appealing to the law. I'm saying, what do you want? Do you think?
Oh yeah, like I would think that it would be maybe even a little harsher than it is right now. That's what I would want.
So you think we should? Okay, so but then what if like an animal violates my rights by going on my house?
By what? By doing what? Humping you? Like what is
yeah,
man
like or like burn or like stealing? Like I'm growing food. Like let's say I'm growing pumpkins, and then like crows come and steal my
life. Say la vie.
So see, they're violating my rights. They're
Well,
violating my property rights and my.
Okay,
right?
Thaddeus wants to say something. Go ahead.
So you've got a standard here for what you're actually trying to describe whenever you talk about violating your rights and things like that is the relevant trait you're looking for is self-ownership.
Okay.
So when you want to do a test for self-ownership, you simply want to test if they can forego something like going on a piece of land or taking something that's not theirs in exchange for something else. So if you can do that, then you engage them on that level. And that's a relevant trait that applies to some humans and not to others. So if they're not able to do that, then they're not responsible for themselves. You don't expect them to change their behavior. You're not going to regulate them into doing something other than to confine them or watch them or care for them. And that's basically our relationship with animals, that some of them are owned, some of them are not owned, but it's that doesn't have anything to do with sentience. Sentience isn't anything to do with the ability to regulate your behavior and have self-ownership and things like that. It's kind of ridiculous that people who don't have the ability to self-ownership that are humans are automatically on the same level as something that's okay to stab and eat.
I never said about eating. I just said they don't get rights and protections under the law. That's all I said.
Well, I mean, that's I'm just discussing one way of violating the rights.
And that's kind of a gray area is the food. The food is kind of a gray area too. Like if you only had like a certain amount of food and you need to protect it, right? And you're fighting off animals, based on your own survival, then yeah, okay, maybe that's reasonable. Then it's survival based, you're defending yourself, whatever, stuff like that. But I mean, if you got like 50 mango trees or whatever, and then there's a bird that comes by and pecks a mango, you shouldn't take out the shotgun.
But he violated my rights.
Well, I mean, at that point, you just got to be a reasonable person.
No, because if a human did that, I would call the cops on him. Like, yo, this guy's doing it. But I can't do that to birds because one don't go fly fast enough. Let's say I catch. Okay, let's say I catch you with a net. I catch you with a net.
Many vegans will say, yeah, you are within your rights to shoot someone who's taking your food.
Okay,
that includes animals and such. And that might extend to humans. Especially if you just don't have any means of stopping it. That's actually important food. It will mean something to you. Then, I mean, you can put enough on there to where it will mean enough that you are allowed to kill that person if they violate your rights. Be a little reasonable, though. I mean, just like you'd be
No,
a little reasonable.
I think you guys are being inconsistent. You're saying a bird has a right to steal my stuff, and I don't have the right to.
No. I said
nature isn't even yours, man.
I said
I
that
didn't
you
say
can
that.
shoot it.
I'm not saying nature is mine. I'm just saying we got to be consistent the way we treat all sentient creatures. If we're gonna treat, we have to treat everyone with respect.
I wouldn't eat a homeless guy if he tried to steal a mango.
I didn't say I would eat it. I said he just has no rights. He would have no rights and protections under the law if he couldn't.
I also wouldn't try to
tests.
shoot or have a homeless guy locked up for stealing a mango, right? I might report it, or there might be something reasonable I would do.
I would call the cops to someone if he did that.
Yeah, maybe. I don't know.
Like there's this guy outside who's stealing my stuff.
But that's the point. That's the point, though. It's situational, and you have to also you have to use your common sense and be like, is this something that's worth, me losing my shit over? Like a bird pecking one of my fruits.
No,
or
I don't know. I don't think we're gonna.
But the thing is, there's gray areas in life like that. You're gonna have to be like, at some point, be like, I can't be completely consistent about every single thing in my life. There's big things that you can be consistent about, like if eating meat is unreasonable and destroying the environment and people's health, and it's harming animals and it's completely unnecessary, then yeah, that's obviously not a gray area.
Well, then
you're taking it to extremes and being like, you have to be consistent about everything in life. Otherwise, I could eat animals.
How about things like lions who hunt in the Sahara, desert? Should we stop them?
Okay. Lions obviously are carnivores. You are not a carnivore, so it's its natural diet to be eating meat.
But that's
they're not moral agents. I don't know. There's more.
Same thing. Well, you can say the same thing about HIV. Oh, it's naturally destroys white blood cells. I'm still want to get rid of HIV. I want to get rid of that virus. I want to genocide HIV virus.
You can't genocide carnivores, or otherwise the whole ecosystem collapses. Like, carnivores have a part in nature where they take out the weak, the dying, the sick animals. They basically euthanize all these injured animals and stuff. They smell blood, they smell disease, and they make the species who they're hunting actually stronger, because only the strong ones will survive, and that actually helps in nature. But humans don't help in nature when they kill animals.
By your logic, well, it was okay. Yeah, you could say humans genocide other humans, thus they were weak. So thus it's okay that they were genocided. You basically just appeal to nature right there. You can't
No, I'm saying that's a carnivore's job in nature. A human isn't a carnivore. So you're saying that a human is a carnivore now?
No, I'm not saying that. I'm saying if a lion, why is the lion shouldn't be granted the ability to infringe on others just because it's inherently has supposed to do that just to survive. That's the same thing with HIV. HIV is inherently going to destroy your blood cells and can destroy all life that way.
HIV doesn't balance an ecosystem out and make species stronger, and it's not a carnivore, and it's not even an animal. Like, we're not even talking about anything that's even close to one another.
No, because HIV is part of I think anything in the observable universe is nature. Would you agree with that?
Okay, but you're missing the point. Like, HIV is not a carnivore. Like, you realize why there is carnivores,
HIV is a virus that kills populations off.
Okay, so when humans hunt animals, they go for the biggest, strongest animals, and they kill those 18-point bucks and all these things, right? That's because they go after beauty, and they are frugivores by nature, and they look at beautiful things in nature like fruits and want them. And that's why your house is all decorated with stuff, because that's instincts. You are not a carnivore, so you cannot compare yourself to a carnivore.
No, I'm not comparing myself. I'm saying, why are you granting them the right to violate others' rights, but I'm not allowed to do it?
They're a carnivore. I just said that.
So let's say let's make a thought experiment. Let's say there's little orcs, right? Orcs who are who only can live off humans. You're saying it's justifiable for them to eat us?
To eat us?
Morally justifiable, yes, because that's all they can live off of.
Okay, so here's the another thing about nature. It's like, nature is like, if you look at you're saying a lion, right? So a lion will attack a mongoose, right? And try to eat it. And because it is weaker and smaller, but a mongoose isn't just gonna fall over and be like, eat me. It'll get a whole bunch of other mongooses and they'll fight back and they might survive. So yeah, it's the same. I mean, I'm not saying, and it has a lot to do with the moral agency thing too, right? Since they have no moral agency and they have to eat meat to survive, those two things go hand in hand with why it's okay for the lion, right? So if an orc has moral agency and they're trying to attack us and they could be eating vegetables, then it's wrong for them. You know what I mean? There's all sorts of variables that go into it. If they are carnivores and they're trying to eat us, then I'm not going to say that's wrong because that's what they're trying to do and that's what they need to do. But just like the mongoose, I will be fighting back.
Well, in my opinion, I would genocide both the orcs and the lions for violating rights because it can't even respect the rights of others.
But then the whole world collapses. You realize that
the whole world collapse.
You can't kill all the carnivores in nature, or the whole world will die.
Millions of animals have been. 90% of the world's animal species are already extinct. So it's just nature, right?
But all carnivores aren't extinct. Right?
Yeah, Well, they're still, but they're violating rights, so it's not fair.
Okay, there's actually even a balance of the percentage of carnivores to say herbivores, omnivores, and frugivores, where the carnivores are at a certain percent for a reason, because if there was too many of them, then they would be eating everything would die, right? So it's like everything in nature serves a purpose. Like, that's not what you're not understanding here. Is about birds. Like, you want to kill birds for pooping and lock them up and stuff. It's like that's what birds do. You're acting like trees are yours. You're acting like you should be able to just go kill all carnivores. Like, you're not understanding how nature works.
Now you're appealing to nature. Okay, rapists. So rape is justifiable now? You just said okay.
In what context? All animals rape each other.
So that's okay now. You think that's
except humans are moral agents, so they shouldn't.
So I don't. So humans, just because I'm sorry, just because the trait is that humans can't treat them as bad as they treat us. Basically, what you're saying, just boil it down, because just because we have moral agency, quote unquote.
Yeah, it all comes down to intentions. So you're intentionally treating them poorly. They're not even knowing what they're doing.
Well, okay, no, I'm pretty sure most humans are just like, I just want to eat just to eat, so I could my mouth will feel good and for protein. I think that's really why they do it.
Okay, so I'll compare it to this. So the self-defense argument. If an animal attacks you, you know that they're dumb as shit, they're not dumb. I shouldn't say they're dumb, but they're not a moral agent, so they're attacking you. Yeah, I'll stab that animal. But now I have the common decency, the knowledge to know I don't need to just go up and stab this animal. So why would I do that? That's the difference. Go ahead.
Because we don't even treat mentally retarded. There's people around my house, kind of noisy. I live in a poor neighborhood. Sorry about that. Okay. What were we talking about? I'm sorry.
Just let Thaddeus say his point here for a second.
Okay, go ahead.
Yeah. Now, what was I thinking about? So we're talking about morality and so you have humans. Just whenever something goes wrong, I mean, there's someone who did something. We're talking about animal. We're talking about a human. Something happened that they did wrong, and who are you going to go to address this situation? It's like, how are you going to address this situation? When you look at this, you automatically know whenever you can take this to a person and fix the problem, or if you have to fence the person in or out or something like that to fix the problem. So if you're a moral agent, punishing them will actually do some good. So you could kill a person to fix a problem. You could convince them, you could lock them up. What makes the most sense? And so whenever it's convincing them or punishing them or something like that, we're talking about engaging them in moral discussion in which we want them to fit into society. When we're talking about an animal that doesn't have that ability, they are not moral agents. They do not act on morals. We do not teach them morals. We do not engage them on morals. It's two different things. They are engaged with as owned property. Maybe they're fenced in. Maybe they are not owned property, or they're owned by the state or something, and who's irresponsible, and we have to fence them out or something like that. Maybe we just have to build cars that can take bird poop without losing their paint or whatever. And that's how we approach it. Moral agents, not moral agents. That's the difference.
I don't agree with that. Even if a human who is mentally retarded, like accidentally killed 3 people, he should go to prison, in my opinion, or even killed.
What's the point? I mean, you wouldn't put him in a prison.
So we can keep human civilization, or not say civilization in itself, like running and safe.
You're talking about self-defense,
keep it safe, and that's what I'm saying. You fence them in or fence them out. You don't engage them and say, well, we got to fix this. Why did you do this? What can we do to convince you that this is not the thing to do? We're not going to engage them on that level. It's not a moral issue. The problem is that the person who is responsible for them let this happen. And so maybe they're not responsible anymore. We take it to the actual moral agent and say, you're not responsible for this person. We are, and we're going to lock them up. It's not a punishment for that person. It's not trying to teach them anything. It's just confining them or separating them or whatever needs to happen.
Or no, I'm okay with killing them, like executing them.
Yeah, that may be a solution that needs to be taken into consideration. Yeah, but they're not moral agents.
Yeah, you're specifically talking about self-defense, though, too, when you say, well, they killed 3 people. If a lion came up and killed 3 people, then they might execute that lion. But that doesn't mean you should just go execute lions all willy-nilly.
Let's say, well, even if it was a human, like a mentally handicapped human who kept, let's say, once in a while shitted on my lawn, or stole my, pumpkins, or I would have to, okay, all right, I'm gonna kill him, even though it didn't hurt me. I would still kill it. Same with a bird, because it doesn't even respect my property.
You're gonna kill a human for taking a shit on your lawn? That's a little excessive.
Because
Well,
I would do that.
That's
you
might be a little crazy.
If it kept doing that.
Okay. Yeah. So
this is what you first said. You said, okay, you can forgive it the first time. Okay, what if it happened 2 more times? Can I? And the government,
not a number of times.
And the government's not going to step in just because it's not a moral agent. We can't do anything. No, at that time I'm going to kill it because it keeps it just.
Okay, so does the bird have an owner?
Let's say no.
Okay, then you own it now if you want to, and so deal with it. Is there any other way to deal?
I can kill it.
Okay, you can kill it.
You're okay with that? Like that's that's morally okay for shitting on my lawn, or.
So what are we talking about, a bird?
Yeah, just a bird, like a pigeon.
Yeah, I mean, there's no way of dealing with it. It's very small. This is a trait of the bird. It's like we can't tell it apart. It keeps doing this thing over and over. Yeah, I think it's probably inappropriate to care about that detail unless it's hurting you.
So I can kill it?
Yeah, I'm not opposed to killing something that is replaceable in nature or something, and it's not the last of its species type thing. Yeah.
Okay. So
I would have a different opinion and say it's probably unnecessary to kill a bird that just is taking a shit repeatedly like that. I mean, if you think about like where you actually should be living, like you should just have like some form of a shelter, and it's like you don't own the outside world. It's like you don't own the grass. I mean, just because you paid somebody some money and you're like, this is my section or whatever. It's like, it's just such a weird thing that humans think that they just own everything. And it's just, I can just kill birds and do all these things. You don't own all birds and nature and trees and everything like that.
You have the right to own ownership of land because the government allows you to, because
but who says that's right? So that's just a might equals right argument, and you're just coattailing on the government.
So you don't believe in government? You sound
I didn't say that. I said I don't believe you own the outside world. Like so say when it comes to animals, especially, like, I mean, like, the moral agency plays a big part because humans will know that that's your grass. But to think that you own all of other nature and they shouldn't
I
be
didn't say
allowed to
all of it. No,
come into your lawn.
I specifically said my property. I never said everywhere. I just said
But
my
animals
property.
don't know it's your property, so you can't enforce. You know what I mean? So that's where the part where you think you own nature is by thinking that animals should know it's your property.
No, I will treat animals. I won't go to a bear's den if he doesn't come to mine. I'll treat them equally. I'll treat them as an equal. The problem is they don't treat me as an equal. I won't go to a bird's nest and shit on it. They don't come to my house.
How often do our bears come into your lawn?
Okay, let's change it to bird. Okay.
Okay.
I don't go to the bird's home and shit on or, like, do anything to the bird as long as
you do. You probably do way worse to the bird.
I don't do anything to the bird. The pigeons?
You definitely do through the stuff that you do in a day destroys all sorts of birds' environment and kills. So you should have been killed by birds a long time ago.
What did I do?
You should. What do you mean? What did you do?
What did I do to
pollution
birds?
And everything, destroying people, destroying habitats of animals? I'm sure you played a huge part in destroying habitats of animals. So have I.
So what? We should kill ourselves? We're just evil.
But by your logic, we should just off ourselves right now. I got a meat hammer right here. I might just off myself because I have, if I want to be consistent, I have affected some bird homes.
No, well, under my system, we're kind of, you guys kind of ignored what I wrote. You literally didn't even read the whole thing. So I don't know if we should even continue this discussion. We're not even talking about what I wrote anymore. And so I don't even see if there's even a point anymore.
Well, I mean, it is good to talk about things, right?
I mean, I don't know if it's not going anywhere productive, then what's the point? Like, I don't think no one here changed their mind or anything, right? I think
is something coming up?
Huh?
No, do you think like moral agency is irrelevant? Is that what you think?
Okay, could you give me your definition of moral agency, then I can see if I could agree or not.
So I understand completely what my actions are entailing. So if I go I see an animal out there and he's just minding its own business and I can just go and punch that animal in the face. I know what I'm doing. That's rude, right? That's rude what I just did. Okay, I probably shouldn't have done that. Unnecessary.
How are we going to test that?
But if you walk past, say, a stray cat and it just clawed your leg, you don't know the cat's intentions. It's not a moral agent. You know what I mean? You think you should just be able to kill that cat and do whatever you want. And then just eat cats from that point on because they're not moral agents. Or because they, whatever.
Okay, so how are we going to test moral agency? How are we going to do that?
How are we going to test it?
Yeah,
well, you could use inductive reasoning, right?
But you can't do that. That's not how the court of law works. You can't inductively reason. Oh, that's not how. You have to be for sure. How are we going to prove that someone has moral agency?
Someone or an animal?
Any creature. Okay.
We'll let Thaddeus answer. He wants to answer.
Well, I mean, previously success. So if you have engaged them on moral reasoning or something, and they've been able to reason things through, then that's a good indication that they have moral agency.
Okay, let's say, for example, there's a bird that comes by, right? It's walking, or like he's coming towards me. And I say, "Hey, I yell at him, like, get the fuck out of here!" And he flies away. Does he have moral agency because he was able to? He know what I meant. Does he have moral agency then?
Does he come back?
No, he literally. He's like,
"Oh, you haven't engaged him. You know that it's not going to work."
You don't. So your tests don't even make sense either. You just gotta assume they have moral agency. My tests are not assumed. Everyone is treated equally. You just are like, oh, they have moral agency. So how do you determine that? So a baby doesn't have moral agency either. Then so what? I have to treat that like baby well.
Moral agency is not a curse or anything. It's not the same thing as, oh, you can stab him now. So, if someone doesn't have moral agency, they don't act morally. It's very similar to a psychopath who would have moral agency or something, but just would not employ it. So you have moral agency and you use it, and so you invite people to engage you on a moral level, and That's all it is. So a lack of moral agency doesn't mean it's okay to stab you either. It does mean that you should probably engage with their owner, whether that's their parent or.
Well, what if they're not an owner? Like they don't have an owner. They're just a random bird or something.
Then if they don't have an owner, then the person who encounters them claims them. That's how ownership works. Without an owner,
no, that's not true
you
either.
own them.
If a mentally retarded human came up to me, I'm like, oh, I own this child. That's not how it works either.
Yeah, you're right. It doesn't work like that because they have an owner, usually their parents.
No, let's say that, like, okay, just
people come from somewhere. You can assume they have an owner.
Let's say there's not.
Okay, if there's not, then you own them.
Or like they escaped out of an institution.
Well, the institution probably would know who owns them.
I own that mentally retarded human now.
Why don't you go ask the institution?
You're jumping into gray areas again, though. Now you're trying to find the most obscure gray area to justify like the whole thing, right? And that's kind of like what this whole paper is like. This isn't even like an argument against or for eating meat.
It's not, because I'm not making that argument. Eating meat is like smoking, in my opinion. You're right. It's not good for your body. I agree with you there. I would say
no, but like
unhealthy.
This isn't an argument for why you should pay money to animal agriculture.
Yeah, but you have the free market. You can do whatever you want. There you go. Like you can buy smokes if you want. There you go.
I would assert that this paper is a straw man of everyone except Mod Vegan. If you want to find someone,
read the whole thing. See, I don't know. I don't know if we should even continue this. You guys aren't even.
Well, no, I'm. You know what I am gonna do? I'm gonna post this.
Why is this 2v1? I feel like this is 2v1, by the way. So that's
If you brought a paper,
you didn't even read my paper.
It's you and your paper against me and Thaddeus. So
you didn't even read my paper, or it's like, and you're double teaming me up.
I'm gonna link the paper, and everybody can read it. And they can make their own decisions.
This channel is no offense. Your channel is probably all vegan subscribers, right?
I mean,
so
what
like,
are you gonna do?
I'm literally this is a circle jerk. I'm like literally getting circle jerked on.
Well, that's like, come on, man. You better get used to it, man, because veganism is the highest growing thing right now.
This isn't even a fair argument. What are you talking about?
It's gonna be.
No, I don't want people. I don't like when like meat eaters also circle jerk. I want it to be. You guys are literally double teaming me.
Okay.
And you guys are reading my paper.
What's your excuse for eating meat?
I didn't give an excuse. I didn't even say I'm okay with the way it is right now. I'm saying I want these new laws that I wrote. What I wrote is what matters to be implemented.
So how does this paper make it okay by law for you to eat meat?
Did you read the whole thing?
No, but I just want you to explain it.
Read the whole thing.
I just want you to explain it. If somebody on the street asked you why you think it's okay for you to eat meat, you would read a 14-page paper. Or could you just answer their question?
Okay, because they couldn't pass the 7 tests I wrote out. There you go.
And why do those 7 tests matter?
Because that will determine if they have the ability to follow law. There you go. Those tests
according to who and why?
What do you mean?
Why does that determine?
Those tests can determine if you can follow the law. If you can read, if you can follow basic instructions.
Consumption of oxygen is necessary.
So your final answer is anybody who can't follow the law can be eaten.
Those 7 rules. Just like it's like a driving test. A driving test. You have to do certain things to get a driving license.
I gotcha.
You have to.
You made up 7 things. If people can't follow it, they can be eaten. That's the basis of your whole thing.
Okay. Why do we have driving tests?
Why do you have driving tests?
Why do we have tests that test if we can drive? Why do we?
So you're fully capable at driving and you're not just running people over.
Same thing with my test. So then you're fully capable of following the law and living in a civilized society. There you go. You answered it for me in a way.
A chicken can't follow the law?
Really? You think a chicken could really? They'll pay taxes. They'll do all that.
No, but why do they need to pay taxes?
Okay, fine. They'll follow. They won't shit on public public.
Why can't they shit? You realize you need shit in the ground for stuff to grow.
Okay,
it's fertilizer.
No. If I shit it on in the let's say I went to New York Times Square and I shit it on there, I'd get arrested.
But that's not grass. That's a pavement.
Okay, well. Okay, fine. If I shit on the grass in the middle of nowhere and the cops saw me, they go, "What the hell?" and they'd arrest me. What are you talking about?
I encourage you to eat a bunch of fruit and go outside and shit on a tree.
Well, I don't agree with that. I don't think, I don't agree with that. I don't think that's good or healthy I don't think that's.
You're giving back to the tree.
So well, fine. I guess fine. That my tests are like a driving test. That's what I said, right? So that's why I have it. There you go. I just answered your question.
So if a law makes it impossible for a being to follow it, then it's not a good law.
What are you talking about? Anyone could do these.
No,
laws.
I mean anyone can follow good laws, but if you make
these are good laws. Is this unfair? You didn't explain why it's unfair.
Okay, so you have laws that allow for caring about animals like birds pooping on land. That this is in your law somehow.
It's not.
So if I have a law that disallows my right of way, so you can buy up all the property around my land and I can't get in or out, that's a problem. I mean, that's a law that's going to be violated. You don't have any responsibility to make laws that can be followed?
No, because what? What does that mean?
Laws should be able to be followed. If there's no way of
you are able to follow my laws.
There's no way of breaking it.
Okay, then these aren't laws. These are this is a test, like a driving test.
Right, but they're tests to determine something about laws.
This is a test if you're able to live in a civilized society, and that's
animals are able to live in a civilized society because we act as their intermediaries.
Not true. So what if like another country? What if another country violates, like invades us? They're not gonna. We can't chickens aren't gonna fight for the United States.
That's irrelevant.
Yes, you do.
Why do you need chickens to fight?
You have to have a draft. All men 18 over in these states have to sign up for the draft.
We should read more. We should read the rest of this paper.
You are required by law, if you're a man, to sign up for the draft.
You know what I was just looking at, because my wife is scared of bears. Like I go trail running a lot, and I like to sign up for trail races and stuff, and she's scared of bears and brings bear spray. So I looked up how many people actually get killed by bears in like the whole country, and it's two per year. That's like nothing. And so it's like people have this idea like, oh, we need to protect ourselves from all these crazy animals. Like shark attacks is like super small. Like all these things, it's like, well, like obviously the farm animals aren't attacking you. Like all these laws are made up just to justify your meat eating. That's all it is. It's nothing about protecting yourself. It's nothing about like, well, they need to somehow pay taxes.
Yeah,
you don't need a chicken to pay taxes. You're just trying to eat meat.
Veganism. I could say veganism is just about protecting those who can't take responsibility for themselves.
What do you mean?
Because just because they don't have moral agency, they don't have I can treat them. They have a lower standard of the way they should act. That's not fair.
But why is that bad though? Like
it is bad. It is bad because it's
protecting animals.
Why should someone talented like have to be held to a higher standard than those who are less talented? Or yeah.
Should you eat people who aren't talented?
I didn't say that. I said my tests, as long as you pass them, you're allowed the law. You're allowed your protections and rights under the law. The problem is you keep saying I'm going against animals. I'm not. I'm saying any animal who can pass can't do it. Any human who can't pass can't follow can't do it.
Yeah,
either.
But your law is just there so you can eat animals and not feel bad about it. That's all you made it for.
Yeah, sure. Everything is about that. You don't eat meat. You're not vegan because you feel bad about killing animals. Same thing. I could say the same thing.
No, but I'm not though. That's not why.
You don't care about killing animals dying?
No, I don't. It doesn't make me feel bad. I just think it's logical not to do it.
What? What do you mean by
that? I mean,
that?
it probably, in some context, it would make me feel bad. But that's not the driving factor that makes me vegan. I just think it's logical to not kill. If you don't need to kill an animal, why would you do it?
There's a lot of people. You don't need a computer to live, but we have it.
Well, I would argue that you do need a computer in today's society, and it is a beneficial tool for information sharing.
Food, water, and shelter. That's all you really need to live. You don't need.
Okay, we're talking about basic necessities. Like I'm talking about like absolutely needless, right? Like there is somewhat of a need for, you know, some things in your house, right? But you could live out in the bush, maybe. You know, you could maybe not live without a shelter or whatever. I'm talking about absolutely unnecessary.
There's a lot of unnecessary things we buy though. Okay.
You?
All you meet. I could show you from your background. I could see there's some things you don't need there that
I didn't buy those. My wife buys a lot of crap. I didn't buy those.
Well, same thing. The fact, see, that just proves my point. We all buy. There's at least one thing in your life you bought that was useless. You did not need one thing. There's
maybe
one.
Maybe when I was a teenager.
There you go. Same thing. So yeah, we don't need to do it, but we do. Just because we're like that, humans are selfish in that sense.
Okay, but one of them has a victim, a direct victim.
What victim?
The animal that you paid somebody to stab.
No, because they don't have rights and protections under the law because they didn't pass the test. So I don't know what you're talking about.
Yeah, so then I'm talking about something else, and you're just appealing to the law.
Same thing with you. You got jacket you're wearing. Yeah, that's probably made by a sweatshop in somewhere. Are you saying are you evil now too?
Well, I got this from a charity run, so I don't feel too bad about it.
Okay, but that beanie you're wearing probably made in a sweatshop too.
I don't even know where I got this beanie. So it could have been, but it's not a direct victim.
Same thing with your headphones.
Sweatshops are moral.
And it's not a direct victim.
I'm saying I actually agree with you, but that's technically what I'm technically saying is true also. I agree with that.
No, because it's not comparable.
It is comparable.
No, it's not a direct victim. I can't see it. There's no label on the thing that has a guy from the sweatshop going, "Hi, I made this." You don't know. Like I don't. You just said. You just said yourself. It probably is. You have no idea.
Okay, then same thing with you. Probably not the animals I buy.
It's a dead animal. You know exactly what it is when you're buying it. It's a direct victim. It's not a byproduct. It's the product.
I don't know, man. I don't think we're really gonna agree on anything. We're not gonna change our minds, you know. Like, do you think we should?
Okay, because I just made a solid argument, and then you're like, ugh.
No, it's not. God, you didn't read my whole paper. You.
Should we just read his whole paper real quick or something?
Yeah, read the whole paper, please.
Okay, read the whole paper. But then you got to tell me why eating meat is okay.
I didn't say meat is okay. I'm just saying you have the right to eat meat because they don't have any protections and rights under the law because they don't pass the test.
Let's just get this straight. So far you've said eating meat is unhealthy, vegan diets are healthier, and eating meat is not okay. So let's read.
I didn't say eating meat was okay. I just said it's neutral. It's like the same. If you throw a rock, it's like the same thing to me. Eating meat and throwing a rock, eating meat of people who didn't pass the test is the same as throwing a rock. It's just nothing.
So you're indifferent.
It's indifferent. It's not morally right or wrong. It's just neutral, morally neutral to eat meat that of those who have been.
Is it morally neutral to the animal?
It's same thing with a rock. If I break a rock, it's like that.
A rock. So a rock is the same as a chicken.
Or like a virus. It's like the same thing.
I think you're losing the audience when you say a rock is the same as a chicken.
Okay, it's not. But the thing is, chickens still cannot. You agree that chickens cannot reasonably follow the law. So why
do they have to follow the law in order to not get stabbed and eaten?
Because
first, the law would have to prohibit them from doing something.
Because
laws don't do that.
Okay, because they're not even under the government social contract, right? You have the social contract of the government is if you pay, if you are a citizen of the government, then you are protected under the law. If chickens are not, citizens of the government, they don't have any rights or protections under the law.
I don't think social contract. I don't think that social contract has anything to do with the law.
Yes, it does.
No, it actually doesn't. It has to do with society and expectations.
I'll be right back. I can still hear.
That's what I'm saying. So your expectations is you'll follow the law. You won't, and we, the government, will, treat you with protections against foreign invaders as long as we follow these certain rules and we can live in a society, a civilized society. Correct?
Oh, I mean, the social contract is expectations of one another.
Exactly.
And fitting in with one another. It doesn't have much of anything to do with the rules imposed upon us.
Yeah, there's rules. We have to pay tax.
I mean, some people do.
No, we have to pay tax.
Yeah,
IRS is going to get
we,
you.
as in some of us, do.
Are you saying what? You don't pay taxes?
If I'm poor enough, I don't have to, but I always pay taxes.
No,
Yes.
even they have to pay at least like a little bit, like maybe like 5%, or even go to the store if they buy something, they still pay taxes. Just
Yeah.
the income taxes they don't get taxed, but if they're like living on something like a different property, like
But they're
have to
not.
pay property tax.
If you don't
Top of the tax.
buy things, it's not like you're breaking the law because you didn't pay sales tax because you didn't buy anything at all. Laws don't legislate against the actions of animals.
That's because we don't think of them because we treat animals as lower class citizens, which I don't agree with. I feel we should treat them to the same standard, under my rules, under my laws.
That seems kind of arbitrary
How's it arbitrary?
because they're not the same.
See,
There are differences.
I don't get it. So when vegans make the argument, name the trade that we can treat them horribly. You literally throw that in my face. Well, name the like what? What? It's like the
you want me to
reverse
name a trait?
argument. Yeah, name the trade that.
Yeah, I name traits all the time. There are traits that differentiate animals from humans. We are different.
Go ahead.
Yeah. So there's this respect for property rights that you keep complaining about that it's not there. That basically moral agency.
Yeah. So then why should we treat them? Why should we treat them as if they don't even treat us?
We should treat them as if they don't have moral agency.
I don't agree with that. I
think we should treat everyone as if they have moral agency.
All sentient creatures, yes. Also, if they want protections and rights under the law. If they want protection and rights,
those are two different things. It's just no connection. Sentience and moral agency, no connection.
My cat just puked on the stairs, so I murdered him.
Oh, okay. You know, I think you have that right, personally, actually. All right. Let's read the whole paper, and then you guys could ask whatever you want. It's gonna be long. It's at least 20 minutes, I think, if you read the whole thing.
All right, go ahead.
Where were we at? Section 3?
I think we're at section 11.
Section 11? Oh, all right. You want me to read, or you want to read that?
Yeah. Go ahead.
3. So I'm on a part 3. I'm not.
Okay.
So part 5. Are you talking about sections or parts?
There's sections is like a chapter, and then parts is like the little,
Oh, there's section 2, but I need to go down.
So
section 3. Non-protected sentience and own sentience. Part 1, status of non-protected sentience. Any sentient being who hasn't passed the above tests are now called non-protected sentience and can be treated as mere property and can be brought and sold as such. This means they have no rights or protection under the law. However, they get a leeway of 1 week to not be treated as property and will have the same rights as a protected slow sentient after the deadline. Once that week is over, it permanently has no rights and can be treated as property. Part 2, status of own sentience. Sentient beings who are owned by protected sentience and are protected under contract are called own sentience and can be bought, sold, treated however they like, solely by the protected sentient. Part 3, what happens if the owner of an owned sentient dies prematurely? If a protected sentient dies prematurely before its own sentient, then the government will take ownership of the owned sentient, and the government can treat them as a mere property, which can be bought and sold as such.
Okay. Keep going. You want me to read the
Sure.
next part? All right. Section 4, protected slow sentience. Part 1. If a protected sentient wishes to take guardianship of a non-protected sentient, if a protected sentient wishes to take guardianship of a non-protected sentient, they can sign a contract and pay a fee of $500 to give one non-protected sentient protection under the Slow Sentient Act. This must be done after the week is over. Note, to be eligible to own or take guardianship of a sentient being, you must already be a protected sentient as well as a U.S. citizen who is 18 years or older. Protected sentients who want to take guardianship of a non-protected sentient being have priority over those who want to take ownership of a non-protected sentient. Blood-related protected sentients who want to take guardianship have the most priority, however. Part 2, status of protected slow sentient. Sentient beings who are protected under the Slow Sentient Act are called protected slow sentients. Anyone who is protected under the Slow Sentient Act is protected under the Act for a total of 300 years. This act requires the guardian to take care of their protected slow sentient by feeding for it, housing it, etc. The parent or guardian may not sexually abuse the protected slow sentient in any way. Some level of corporate punishment will be allowed, however, no injuries that will severely affect the protected slow sentient for the rest of its life will be allowed. If a guardian violates this act, they will go to prison, maybe even death penalty, depending on the level of abuse. The act gives almost all the same protections to the sentient being under the Child Protection Act. This means you are legally obligated to watch and take care of the protected slow sentient being who couldn't pass the test. The only difference is that if a protected slow sentient did something as horrendous as murder or rape another protected sentient, protected child sentient, protected slow sentient, or own sentient, it will instead be executed, unlike a protected child sentient, who will instead go to prison for a certain amount of time depending on the time of the crime it has committed. Under the Slow Sentient Act, protected slow sentients are allowed 100 chances to attempt to pass 3 out of the 6 tests to become a protected sentient with the same rights and protections under the United States law. Part 3. What happens if the guardian dies prematurely? If a guardian dies prematurely before their slow protected sentient does, then the slow protected sentient loses its protection but still gets a leeway of 1 week to not be treated as property and will have the same rights as a protected slow sentient and after the deadline. Once that week is over, it permanently has no rights and can be treated as mere property. Sentient beings who are owned by protected sentients are called owned sentient and can be bought, sold, and treated however they like solely by the protected sentient. However, if a protected sentient wishes to take guardianship of a non-protected sentient, they can sign a contract and pay a fee $500 to give one non-protected sentient protection under the Slow Sentient Act. This must be done before the week is over. Note, to be eligible to take or to own or take guardianship of a sentient being, you must already be a protected sentient as well as a citizen who is 18 years or older. Protected sentients who take guardianship of a non-protected sentient who being have priority over those who want to take ownership of a non-protected sentient. Blood-related protected sentients who want to take guardianship have this most priority, however. All right, you want to read, Logan? The section 5.
Yeah, we can't hear him. Maybe he doesn't know he's supposed to speak.
Wait, you couldn't hear me the whole time?
No, I hear Bob.
Oh, sorry. That would have been awkward.
You want me to read, Logan? Or do you want me to just... He's currently muted. So I'm going to start reading. He can take over if he wants.
Okay, all right.
Section 5, clarifications. All of the above things I wrote may be confusing. So here are some examples. Example 1, let's say a sentient being who did pass the above test, protected sentient, violated my property rights by knocking my fence over. I'm not allowed to shoot that sentient being, as there would be legal repercussions as that person is protected. However, the sentient being would face jail time and must reimburse me for violating my property rights and damaging my property. In this case, my fence. If more severe crime like first-degree murder occurred, they would be put in prison. If even more severe crimes, etc., multiple cases of murder, torture occurred, death penalty is permissible. Example 2, let's say a sentient being who didn't pass the above tests, non-protected sentient, violated my property rights by knocking my fence over. I would be able to shoot that sentient being with no legal repercussions. In fact, since they have no rights, any protected sentient, protected child sentient, protected slow sentient, or even own sentient can do whatever that non-protected sentient with no legal repercussions. Example 3, let's say the sentient who didn't yet pass the above test, but is protected under the Child Protection Act, protected child sentient, violated my property rights by knocking my fence over. I'm not allowed to shoot that sentient being, as there would be legal repercussions. However, the legal blood parent must reimburse me for it. Was the responsibility watch over the
about the grammar? That's a little sorry about that.
Watch over the sentient being who violated my property rights and damaged my property. In this case, my fence. Also, the protected child sentient may be put in a detention center depending on repeated offenses. If the protected child sentient committed a more severe crime like first-degree murder, they would be put in prison. If more severe crimes, example, multiple cases of murder, torture, and they would be put in prison for even longer. Example 4, let's say the sentient being who didn't pass the above test is protected under the Slow Sentient Being Act. I protected slow sentient, violated my property rights by knocking my fence over. I'm not allowed to shoot that sentient being as there would be legal repercussions. However, the legal guardian must reimburse me for it was their responsibility to watch over the sentient being led to violate my property rights and damage my property, in this case, my fence. If the protected slow sentient committed a more severe crime like first-degree murder of another sentient being other than non-protected sentience, they would be executed. Example 5, let's say a sentient who didn't pass the above test but has an owner, sentient, violated my property rights by knocking my fence over. I would be allowed to shoot that sentient being with no legal repercussions. Also, the owner of the sentient being must reimburse me for it was their responsibility to watch over the sentient being. It led to violating my property rights and damage my property, and in this case, my fence. If the owned sentient committed a more severe crime like first-degree murder, they would be executed, and the owner would be put in prison. Will be put in prison. In gray area cases, if the sentient being murders, in the case of a reasonable self-defense, then murder would be evaluated under a jury-made protected sentence to determine if the murder in the name of self-defense was justified. If it is decided that it was justified, then the sentient being is pardoned. If it is decided it was not, then the appropriate punishment shall be carried out. Are you able to?
Now?
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay.
Yeah.
Good.
So I guess conclusion, right? You want to read, Logan? The last part?
I don't have it in front of me. Sorry, I had to do a bunch of stuff with my phone. I'll just listen.
Okay. Conclusions. On sentients who have died, if a protected sentient, protected child sentient, or protected slow sentient dies, its family takes full ownership of its corpse and may do whatever it wants with the corpse. If an owned sentient dies, the owner may do whatever it wants with the corpse. If a non-protected sentient dies, then any protected sentient, protected child sentient, or protected slow sentient can claim ownership of the corpse if they are the first to do so. This is very much like a finders keepers type of rule on implementations of the laws. The things I wrote above are a series of laws and rules I would apply to the United States on a national level to determine how sentient beings would be granted rights and protections under the law from the present and on. However, if these laws would ever be applied, I would have a grandfather clause that all people who currently have a United States social security number who are 18 years or older are automatically granted the status of protected sentient, and those who are 18 years or younger are granted the status of protected child sentient and automatically are granted the time extension of the Child Protection Act. Sentient beings who are 18 years or older who currently live in the U.S. but have no social security number are expected to leave the country 1 week after the new laws have been implemented. However, they can instead pay $500 and sign a contract to be granted the rights of a protected sentient as well as citizenship. If the new protected sentient has sentience they are looking after who are 18 years or younger, they must pay $300 and sign a contract so their sentience can be granted rights of a child protected sentient as well as the time extension under the Child Protection Act. Those sentient beings who fail to pay to become protected under the law or fail to leave the country by the time the week is over can be treated as non-protected sentients and be treated as property with no right to protections under the law. All protected sentients, protected child sentients, and protected slow sentients are expected to have an ID with them at all time. It is recommended that owners of own sentients find a way to distinguish their own sentients from others to identify that they belong to said owner so that others will be less likely to steal their property. Those who have no idea can be treated as non-protected sentients. All right, well, there you go. Like that's basically the whole thing.
Okay. I'm not sure what reading more of it. I kind of got the gist, and
okay.
I kind of stand by cutting to the chase.
Okay.
Is there anything that you think?
So what's wrong with it though? You just saying it's not.
I mean, that's extra rules that don't need to exist. That's all. I mean, you're basically tying up veganism in the fallacy of overregulation that isn't really related to veganism.
Okay, but okay, so how is vegans? Okay, how? Okay, can you write a series of laws that vegans would implement that to follow?
No, I wouldn't bother with writing laws.
So there's no. So you don't. So you can see that the government should never make laws to protect animal rights. And
Yeah, I'm not a big fan of government protection
okay,
of
that's
animal
fair.
rights.
All right, that's fair. How about you, Logan? If that's true, then I don't think there's really much to argue in. I think we.
I mean, that's not maybe consistent across the board, but that's me from the beginning.
Okay, so you think so? You're okay with humans? Okay, how about humans? Can humans get protections under the law? Just humans. In your
Can humans?
do you want humans to be protected under the law? Like if
I
you were to
don't.
implement, yeah,
I
yeah.
don't see how that there's not protection. I mean,
I mean,
basically, all you have to do is remove the rules that say that you can't protect people, and then you would have protection.
wait, what? What did you say?
I mean, it's like, well, why can't I protect my family or protect this person over here or whatever, and say, no, don't do that, or have a problem with it?
No, I'm talking about the government.
Right.
So you saying the government shouldn't protect its humans or its citizens? They shouldn't. They don't have to do that.
They don't have to,
Like they shouldn't do that.
well, whose job is it? The type of thing is what you're bringing up. Is it some centralized government, or is that everyone's responsibility?
Okay, so like let's say China invades U.S. The
Mm-hmm.
government doesn't have to defend you from the China.
I mean, that's their business.
So,
And what I mean by
yes or
that,
no or
what I mean by that to begin with is the whole point of a government is to, fundamentally, not necessarily talking about a good government, but a selfish government. Fundamentally, it's their business to make money, and they do that by displacing others. That's kind of how they work.
so
I mean, they can't.
I
They
feel
can't
like
have other vampires sucking on the same thing they're sucking on.
so you
That can be beneficial.
you're saying the government, so you would not have a law that says the government has to protect its citizens in the case ever. So the government just has no business in protecting rights in your view.
I don't think that it's derived from the government. Government is people. I mean, there's nothing special about a group and grouping things into conglomerations.
Well, okay, I guess all right, we could conclude that. How about you, Logan? You think the government should have, protect, animals under the law?
Yeah, I was just saying earlier, it's the same. You just abolish eating meat, because that you basically said yourself that eating the animal doesn't follow, right?
Huh? What do you mean?
You said yourself that eating the animal doesn't follow from even your paper or what you're saying, right?
No, I'm just saying you could do whatever you want to that animal.
Now,
Because
how
it has
is
no
that
rights. Because it has no
consistent?
rights. Because it has no rights or protections under because in the past.
Okay, yeah, I mean, I guess that's consistent because you're saying that you could eat handicapped people, right?
Yeah. Because it's yeah.
Okay.
But guess
Okay,
what?
so what I would
did you read the protected slow sentient part? Were you here?
Yeah, okay, I heard the most of it, but here's you asked me a question. My thing is what I said earlier is I just want the act of eating meat abolished, right? And then it would just be the same laws that it is now.
So
Maybe a tiny bit harsher, right?
So do you think?
So it would be like you don't just beat animals and shoot them, in the wild, or you're gonna get fined or even jail time sometimes.
So do you think all meat eating should be illegal? All.
Now, I'm specifically talking about Canada, right? And I'm not talking about people in starving situations. So if it's like you have to kind of look at the world as like the third world countries are different. Obviously, they're obviously going to have different laws no matter what. So I can't just be like, this is the world's laws, right? So it's gonna be dependent on your situation. Nobody's gonna yell at some Inuit person in an igloo for killing a seal or something, right?
Yeah, but I
Yeah.
think with my laws, the way I wrote them, any country could adopt them and like still function.
Well,
about that.
right now the world isn't functioning because of animal agriculture.
What do you
Like
mean by that?
the environmental damage is unsustainable.
I could say, but our standard of living has gone way up in the past 100 years. Would you agree with
But
that? Our standard of living has gone way up. The life
oh yeah,
expectancy of
I mean,
humans have.
I would agree with that, but then there's also a peak, right, where it's like now the damage that people are doing is gonna, start killing people,
I mean,
like
well,
droughts in
you're
California.
just assuming that. I mean, for
No, it's not assuming.
so far, our life expectancy in the last past 100 years and has gone up.
No, but
Would you
you
agree
look
with
at
that?
numbers, right? So just take overfishing. So if you look at how people are overfishing, like there's going to be no fish left. And that's just by going by numbers and statistics of how much fish are being taken out of the water and the coral reefs being destroyed by those big nets and everything. And then the feces runoffs and all these things. Like there's numbers involved. Same thing goes with the rainforest. You can't just continuously plow down the rainforest. It's like an acre every 2 seconds. You can't just do that forever. The earth will be dead.
I guess, but that's still like so. You could say so. Wait, are you now? It sounds like you're appealing to just humans, like just for human,
Well, you keep
advancement or
saying
like.
appealing to. I'm not appealing to anything. I'm just telling you facts about the rainforest.
Yeah, same thing about. Well, yeah, sir. Yeah.
Yeah.
So, but what does that have to do with it? Like, so just because the rainforests are gone, what?
Well, you
If it's
said
if
that
it's
everybody can live off of your laws, like your society.
yeah,
Yeah, they can't, because if everybody continuously eats meat that the way that they're
same.
doing,
Well, you could
everybody
say
will be dead.
you could say thing about smoking. If everyone in the world smoked, they would all like everyone would die.
But the increase of smoking isn't happening the same way as animal
I'm just
agriculture
saying
is.
in if in the I'm just saying if you were to say everyone smoke, yeah, sure, you're right,
Yeah, but
everyone
no,
would
but
die.
you're just appealing to futility, saying that, well, everybody could potentially die from smoking. So you're also making a two wrongs make a right. You're agreeing that my argument is bad, but then you're saying, yeah, well, smoking's also bad. First of all, I would say
Okay,
smoking's
actually,
not
you know what? In
good.
theory, yeah, if the animal agriculture, yeah, but then we should get rid of electricity too, in my opinion. We got to be consistent. We got to get rid of electricity. We got to get
That's
rid of the animal
appealing to
agriculture facility.
futility,
We got
though.
to get no. We have to get rid. I'm agreeing with you. We should do both. We should get rid of both because humanity, because the ozone, right? Because you believe in global warming, I'm assuming, right? Like, right? Or at least climate
Well,
change. There's no climate
I
change.
believe in being able to breathe.
I actually
Like,
wrote that. I wrote a paper about this back in the day about yeah, we should actually stop electricity for like a few years until until we're able to develop technology to maintain um uh electricity without oil and like carbon fuel stuff. So yeah, sure. If you could if like let's say the UN you got that down, yeah, I actually would be okay with that.
You do realize that if you were to shut down the use of oil for until you developed something, you would basically not develop it. It just wouldn't happen. I mean, there'd be lots of impetus, but there wouldn't be really any ability to do anything.
Maybe like okay, maybe like some spots, like a few spots where like the electricity is like given to like only research areas, like that. Because I think you're right. Human, like I think if you to continue the human race, it is worth some things must be done to to stop the environment from climate change from
well,
occurring.
okay, so the biggest thing about like veganism is like what I was saying earlier about it being 100% unnecessary. So electricity does serve, a purpose, right? Animal agriculture serves no purpose but greed.
I mean, not true because electricity, you don't necessarily need electricity to live. I don't agree with
No,
that.
but yeah, but so now you're saying not necessarily. I'm saying again, 100% unnecessary to have animal agriculture. serves somewhat of a purpose, at least to have electricity. You can't deny that it doesn't have somewhat of a purpose to help things.
I mean, I'd say yes and no, because it's not worth the carbon fuel. Like, it's not okay. It's not worth, the human race dying just so you could, let's say, email faster, like be more efficient. I don't think it's worth the human race to do that.
But you
I
wrote a
agree.
whole paper to justify bacon.
I didn't do that. I didn't write anything about it. I just wrote a paper of how you would be granted laws and protections under the U.S. I never said anything about that. You keep putting words. You just keep
But you
assuming
know
what I
what the
did.
purpose of the paper was, so
No,
you could go have
I just wrote
a
protections and
bacon
rights.
Arby's sandwich
I
and
said
feel good
protections
about
and
it.
rights under the law. I never said anything else. You are assuming that. I don't assign intent to you. Why? I don't appreciate you assigning intent to me.
Here's the kicker: he's a breatharian. He's been trolling us this whole time.
What's a breath? I don't know what that is. What's
You
that?
just survive off air.
Oh, okay. No, sorry. Anyway, what were we talking about? Oh yeah, so yeah, I would be down for, like, you're right. If you could prove, like, actually it has been proven that agricultural is like contributing to climate change. Yeah, I think you should stop that. I agree, because I think the human race is worth saving. I agree with that. So that, yeah, I agree with that.
But then you also, I mean, should at least acknowledge that, like, you need animals to have an ecosystem, and you also need trees for you to live, and it's all like part of one. You can't just be like, well, animals don't matter, but humans do. You need the animals.
I didn't say animals don't matter. I just said they wouldn't be. Granted protections and rights under the law. Huge difference. That's a huge difference.
Yeah, but think about that. So when you say that, you're saying that somebody can just take a machine gun and just shoot all these animals, or somebody could just take a huge net, troll all these fish, and just literally destroy the planet, and you can't stop it.
If they legally bought that area, yeah. If they legally bought that area and it's been approved, like, to be okay, then yeah.
But there's a lot of areas that aren't. You can't just buy, like, they're just open property, right?
What can you give me an example?
Well, I don't know. Like, I mean, like I was saying earlier about all these people that live in the jungle on YouTube, you could find them just eating off trees and stuff like that. Like, nobody owns that area. It's just jungle.
I mean, it's sort of, they're kind of owned by that tribe in a sense, in a way.
Well, it's not a tribe. I mean, yeah. I mean,
the tribe owns that area.
There is a lot of areas that are owned by people, but I mean, the point is, like, so now you're saying it's not about rights per se. It's about whether or not that animal is on your property, and then you own it.
Yeah, in a sense. Yeah. Because I wouldn't go to a bear's den and, like, try to, say, and they shouldn't come to mine. Fair is fair.
It's kind of weird, though, that humans are the only ones that can have land, right?
No, I just said bears have land.
But you just said everybody, like, almost everything is owned, right? So somebody owns that bear's land.
Yeah, bears own their own land too.
But they can't, because they can't legally buy the land. But a human can.
The bear, in a sense, is like the government of their own den, because they make the food. They maintain security.
This is a weird argument.
No, I'm serious.
So a bird also owns its nest.
Yeah,
so nobody could buy that land because the bird owns that nest, and now that's the bird's land.
Well, because technically we would probably go to war. The bird would go to war with the humans, and whoever would win would take over the remaining land. That's usually what would happen.
So now why would we need to go to war with a bird?
I'm just giving an example. Like, that's usually how it works. Same thing with other monkeys, chimpanzees. They go to war. Tribes of chimpanzees go to war over each other for territory, mates, stuff like that. Same thing. We're all animals. Humans are animals as well. We're not outside of nature. We are nature.
But you are acting like you're the one who's acting like you're outside of nature by being like everybody has to follow human laws.
I mean, if you want to be protected under the law of in a modern civilization, yes, because that's fair.
But that's not the laws of nature. That's the laws that
the laws of nature is might is right.
So, Bob,
nature.
You do recognize that while the adults in the family basically own all the possessions of the family, a child might have his toys and another child might have their toys. and on different levels things are owned. Much the same as we can own a territory that's owned by chimps that has, I mean, on different levels, and then a bird can own something, its nest, perhaps in its own way, on a chimp's territory as well. I mean, there's different levels, and we have to respect those different levels. The ones that we deal on is usually the level of the adults, humans. So, I mean, let's consider different levels, and no, just because a bear might own his den in some bear sense or have a territory doesn't mean that a person cannot own that and protect them or whatever.
So if I made 7 rules and you couldn't do any of these things, right?
Okay, let's hear the rules.
I just made these things, whatever they are. Just say whatever they are.
No, I mean, I like,
and everybody else agreed with them, right?
I need to hear them.
Except for no, but hold on. And
no,
everybody else
give me a hypothetical of a hypothetical. I need to hear.
You want me to say 7 rules? Like, come on.
Yes, go ahead. 7 rules. I provided 7 rules, so you should be able to provide the same amount.
Okay, you could ride a skateboard for 76 seconds. You could do a backflip. You could speak 3 different languages. You could hold your breath for 30 seconds.
Okay.
Like, I could just name things, right? You could punch through a white paper bag. You could cut your own toenails upside down, and you could, slap yourself 7 times in the elbow.
Okay.
Right. These are my rules.
That's fine.
Okay. You, for whatever reason, you can't do any of that stuff. Right,
but I can't.
Yeah, but you're not even listening to what my argument is.
So a what if?
Can I finish the argument?
Go ahead.
Okay, so if you can't do any of these things, right? We all agree. Me and all these other people agree that these are the laws. You think it's justified that I can kill you because of it?
Because same thing. It's like the same thing. You don't get a driving license if you fail the driving license. I failed your test. I don't get your protection of rights under your government.
You're comparing somebody getting a driver's license to me taking a knife and stabbing you.
I didn't. Whoa! You didn't say that you would do that. You just said I wouldn't if you couldn't pass these tests. I would have rights and protections under the law.
No, I'm going to kill you if you can't do this.
I mean, technically you could. You don't even need a reason. You could just kill me if you wanted to. You don't even need to give a reason at that point.
No, but it's going to be fine. Society's going to think it's fine because we all agreed on these rules, and then I just pick up a knife and I stab you.
We do that. We do that. If what
do you mean we do?
Child rapist? If you are a child rapist, you would get killed because you violated that. You broke the rule of not violating a child's rights. We do that.
No, that's different. There's a victim in your situation. There's no victim in my situation. I just made 7 rules, and then I stabbed you.
We do okay. Let's say we gave secrets to another country. That's technically you would be put like in prison, maybe even executed, because you broke the rules. So we do that.
For what though? Sorry, what was the rule that I broke?
What are you talking about? If let's say you had a person who worked in the NSA, CIA, right? And they passed along secrets to a different country, like the Soviet Union. Let's say back in the day, the 80s, right? 1980s or like 70s. They would be executed. Yeah. They would be executed and that's a rule because they violated the rule.
You're not understanding.
No, there is no victim technically.
For what?
Information. It's just
you keep cutting out a little bit.
There's no there's no victim. It's just information.
Okay, so the information obviously serves a purpose. When you just said the CIA, they're obviously in charge of major things that could potentially hurt people. There is a victim in that. They don't just make those rules for nothing.
Yeah, but
your rules are being made just so you could eat a cheeseburger. That's what I'm getting at.
No, I'm not, because they're not. I'm saying for any human being or any sentient being who can pass a test do get it.
Okay, name a crime that doesn't have a victim.
A crime that doesn't have a victim? Drug laws. They're considered illegal.
The drug. Okay, well that's like,
so there you go.
No, but that's hurting somebody who's taking the drugs or whatever. I mean, I would agree with you. That's a stupid law.
See,
But you would
that's my
also,
point. That's my
but you
point.
would also agree with me that that is a stupid law, right?
It doesn't matter what is. It's that's how it
No,
is.
but we can both agree that drug laws are stupid, right?
Yeah, I guess.
Okay, so let's take that aside, and we'll pick a law that is unreasonable, or whatever. You know that doesn't that is reasonable. That
Okay.
doesn't have
In
like,
the UK, they banned freedom of speech. Like, didn't you? I don't know if you know who Count Dankula is.
oh yeah, that has victims.
Yeah.
All the people who are butthurt by it are the
Yeah. So you're
victims.
saying that's justifiable?
I know that's a very harsh. He
I
got a
don't know.
very harsh
You say
punishment, but
so
it still
that's
has a victim.
justifiable. So that's justifiable.
The law itself, or the amount of like the punishment, because
Both. You think the punishment was justifiable and the law is justifiable?
it's hard. I mean, if you go online and you start saying like Hitler Nazi stuff, there's a line where it gets a little bit maybe there is something that should be said,
So
but the crime is, I mean, sorry, the punishment was definitely too harsh for the crime.
see, there you go.
I don't even think that's a gray area. I don't even think that was really a crime. But I mean,
Yeah.
Hitler hate speech is potentially a crime, but it still has a victim.
Who's the victim?
All the people who are Jewish.
Wait.
Okay.
So first claim something that is actual justice or actual law, and then make us point out a victim. So you're pointing out something you don't think is actual justice, and then you're expecting us to find the victim.
Huh? What do you mean?
You notice how you don't? Do you hold up this thing that Count Dankula got convicted for as right?
Do I think it's right? Morally right or wrong?
Justice was served?
No, I don't think it was served.
And stop bringing it up. It's not applicable.
No,
it's
because
a miscarriage of justice.
He just said you'll do it anyway, and you're asking if it's right. I'm like, no, it's not right. But I'm saying it's like a driver's license.
I'm just saying name a crime without a victim. That's what I said. So obviously Jewish people and whoever the hate speech is against.
Okay,
those are the victims.
That's not well. Okay, so name a crime without a victim. Wait,
yeah.
Okay, so wait. So drug laws, and then that one doesn't count.
Okay. Anyways, this point is irrelevant. My point, the thing
I don't get
what I'm trying to get at is that you made these laws for what reason? Like, what did you make these laws for?
I said it to be granted rights and protections under the law.
For what though? What was the point of you writing this whole paper
to be granted
7 laws?
What? To be granted rights and protections under the law that's morally consistent with every sentient creature. There you go.
Yeah, so but I understand what the paper's called. Like, I understand what it says. I'm just asking when you sat down and you were like, I'm gonna make this thing. What's going through your head? Why did you take time to write a 14-page thing on this?
To literally make a law that's morally consistent and fair to every sentient creature. That's literally reason why I don't like when meat eaters are hypocritical about. I don't like when meat eaters are hypocritical. Oh, you could rape you can't rape an animal, but you can eat it. And I don't like when vegans equate. I don't like when vegans say we have to treat animals differently. I think what I wrote is fair. That it treats it's not on both sides. Yes, it is because
so let me ask you the question again. I gave you 7 things. And if me and my friends and whoever else, all these people agree, yeah, these are great laws.
If I can't pass,
stab you.
If I can't pass the laws, if I can't do those laws, the rules you just said, what do I think? I think it's fair because I can't live in a civilized. If I can't ride a skateboard, I cannot live in a civilized society. Or what is the other things you said? One was ride a skateboard.
You really think just holding a pencil for 60 seconds
that means you can follow
constitutes you being able to live in a civilized society?
That proves you can at least follow basic instructions.
Okay.
Would you not agree with that?
So follow basic instructions.
Think of it this way: if a cop comes up to you and says "hands up" and you don't hands up, you're gonna get shot because you can't even follow basic instructions. If you can't even hold a pencil, you are gonna you're donezo. You're gonna get shot. So you have to at least follow basic instructions. That is the most basic instruction you can follow. Just hold a pencil for 90 seconds or stay still for 60 seconds. Come on.
Okay, so I mean the point is you want to eat meat, and you had to make these things
You're assuming
to
intent.
point out to try to point out that animals aren't civilized, but then to get around it, you had to concede that it's okay to also eat retards.
Well, yes, if they aren't protected under law, because you can pay $500 of and you a protected sentence could pay $500 to give one non-protected sentient slow sentient. So you could a dog, it could be any creature as long as you pay $500. Any creature.
Yeah.
So it's not biased towards humans. Any creature, human,
Yeah, so I figured
mouse,
it out though.
anything.
I figured this whole thing out.
It's
so
fair.
you basically this isn't it. I thought at first you were just appealing to the law, right?
Mm-mm.
So you're basically appealing to intelligence, but when you do appeal to intelligence, you're being consistent because you also feel that everybody should be entitled to eat dumb people.
I never said that.
Well, that's what. Yeah, but that's what you just.
I didn't
you're
write
implying
that. I not.
But
no,
you're
I didn't.
implying if you can't speak languages, you do braille, and you can't hold a pencil, and you can't, the only thing you could do is breathe oxygen. You can be eaten. You could be not only eaten, you could be repeatedly raped, stabbed,
Yes.
tortured.
Yes.
I could rip a handicapped fingernails out one by one.
If you don't have those
basically
rights,
skull hump them
if you didn't pass the test, yes.
Okay.
But it's fair
well,
though.
I mean, that's insane.
Is it not
that's
fair
insane.
though? Is it not fair though?
Fair? How is that fair?
It's fair to everyone because
you don't think handicapped people got feelings, bro? You think they want to get skull humped?
I'm just saying if they can't see now okay. See now you're changing it. Now you're saying, oh, I'm a moral monster for not like it's consistent though. Isn't it consistent?
It doesn't matter if it's consistent. If nobody's gonna hop on board with your it's okay to kill retards.
Do you care?
Law.
Okay, and you care? Okay, would you pay $500 to save a retard's life?
Would I pay $500 to save a
mentally retarded life?
Now,
yes or no? Just a yes or no.
Sure. Yeah.
There you go. What's wrong? What? I'm the monster in my society. It's fair. You could treat them as long as you pay $500. You can save a life of a mentally retarded child, any mentally retarded person. There you go. So what? I'm a monster now. Why would anyone can pay $500 to be granted protections for a mentally retarded person if they want. Even a dog, even a squirrel, if they pay $500.
So now we're selling retarded people, so they don't get skull humped.
They're not selling it.
Because, you are. You're selling retarded people.
Well, we already pay taxes, so we do.
All the nice people out there have to buy retarded people so they don't get humped by a bunch of crazy people.
It's sort of like a permit. Yeah, because think of it this way: you have to pay for like a driver's license. Same thing. You have to pay for a lot of things. You have to pay for citizenship. You have to pay for a passport. You have to pay for a lot of things that quote unquote should be natural and shouldn't even be. But we do need to do this to keep us our civilization running properly.
One's a license. One's a handicapped person. Like it's insane, man.
It's not insane. It's consistent.
It doesn't matter if it's consistent.
It does matter if it's consistent.
It absolutely does not matter.
It does matter if it's consistent.
No, it doesn't. I debated nihilists before who are completely consistent. I've debated anti-natalists who are completely consistent. They're not good positions.
The problem of nihilists, they just go to might makes right. Might makes right. That's all they say. And they just
they say I'm indifferent, and you've said that too.
I have not said I'm different. I'm saying if you can pass these laws, then you're fine. Technically, this driving test doesn't discriminate against retarded people. Do you not agree with that? Do you not agree with that? Yes or no?
First, before I answer that, you didn't answer my question.
Okay,
you did say that they're indifferent when you said a cat is the same as a rock. That's what you said earlier, and you said I'm indifferent to it.
I'm indifferent to it. No, if they didn't pass the laws. If they didn't pass the laws.
Okay.
No, the law would be indifferent. I'm not indifferent. The laws would be indifferent to it. Like they would treat it like maybe I did slip. So I apologize if I slipped with the tongue earlier. But what I was meant to say is the law would treat them like the way you would treat the law would treat a cat who didn't pass the laws the same as a rock who didn't pass the laws.
But it's your law though, so it's how you feel. Nobody else has agreed to this law yet, so it's just how you feel.
Okay, fine. Well, if you're gonna appeal to majority, then okay, I guess mediator's fine because technically it's still going. Fine, by your logic, if we're gonna appeal to authority,
I'm not appealing to authority.
Majority.
You're saying about laws. This isn't an actual law.
Yes, this is a law I propose.
Yeah. So
just like you would have proposed a law to stop factory farming, right?
I don't think you'd have to propose a law. I don't think you have to propose a law.
well, then what's the point of the law against murder then? If there's no, the same
Well,
reason.
I'm thinking it's just going to be like what Thaddeus said. Eventually, the shame is just going to do the work for us.
I mean, okay. I mean, sure. Look at the U.S. We shame like China. Like we did sanction on them. They still are treating their civilians really badly. And you think now meat eating is gonna be
Well,
done?
veganism is the fastest growing movement that there is right now. It's undeniable. So, I mean, I
I
would
don't
be
I don't
worried.
I don't know the
I would be
validity of
worried
that.
about the
I
China
don't. Okay,
thing.
how many vegans like now
I'll
are
show
there
you. I
now?
could show you statistics. So a couple of years ago, it was 1% of America was vegans. Now it's
Mhm.
like up to 6 or 7% within the last couple of years. It went up like 7% within like 4 years.
You could say the same thing about the '60s with the crime spree, where just because the crime went way up. Was it the '90s or '80s? I forget. I know there's a crime like
Well,
thing.
there's other statistics too, just about the numbers of business. It's saying by the year I just saw this yesterday. By the year 2023, the mock meats industry is going to be a $6 billion industry.
Then you could say the same thing if in the 1980s. Oh, crime is getting way worse because I think the '70s or '80s, right? The crime went way up, like shot way up. You could say the same thing, like oh, automatically the crime is just gonna get worse from now on because crime is now getting worse every year.
I don't know if that is a good analogy.
Yeah, because you're saying, oh, because of popular trends, we're seeing more vegans. I'm saying, well, you could say in the '80s, because of popular trends, crime went up. I guess crime keeps going up every year. Thus, it'll continue to keep going up every year. You could make that argument too. So we don't really know what's going to happen in the future. Maybe you're right. Maybe you're not.
Well, and there's all these people like, Bill Gates and all these people investing in plant-based companies because it is the future. And like I said about the lab-grown meats is coming out, 40% of people are gonna said that they're gonna, 50% of millennials in the UK said they want to go vegan, and there's a crazy increase in vegans in the UK. That's a big thing there. Go ahead, Thaddeus.
Oh, well, just to put in a bookmark, I'd like to talk about his personal choices, since that's what I keep bringing it back to, leaving it in people's personal choices in their hands. Maybe people want to bring up what he's going to choose for his personal choices.
What do you mean by that?
What are you going to buy? What are you going to eat?
What do I buy and what do I eat? What about that?
What are you going to buy in the future? What are you going to eat?
What you're gonna ask? You're asking what I'm doing with my life right now?
No, I'm really mainly asking about your consumer habits.
What do I? Oh, let's see.
So are
I
you planning on buying any animal products to consume?
I only eat fish, like fish and like stuff like that. I don't eat red meat.
Okay.
Yeah, so yeah, I guess I eat
So
fish.
do you kind of look for hidden dairy and say, nah, I'm not so interested in that?
Dairy? What about dairy? I
Well,
don't even think about dairy. I don't
Like
just
really.
byproducts, you
I'm.
mean?
What's the term when you're not lactose intolerant? I don't really eat cheese or milk or anything like that.
No, you meant like, do you look for byproducts in the ingredient list?
Not really. No. I'm not like a fitness buff like you. I'm not. You know.
Like Thaddeus?
Yeah, kind of. I'm not the most healthiest person in the world, if that's what you're asking. I'm like average, straight average.
Yeah. I mean, the overall point about it is like, okay, you eat fish, but
Hmm.
you have to.
I mean, there's a lot of things we don't have to do
No,
either.
but I know there's a lot of things you don't have to, but I'm asking you about the fish
No,
specifically. Do you have to eat fish?
I don't have to. I don't even have to go to school, but I do it because I feel it'll help my life. There you go. Like it'll help enhance my life. There you go.
Just for what, a couple seconds of taste pleasure though?
I don't even like the taste of fish, honestly. I just do it for
Okay.
the
So
oils in it.
you said that you could be a super healthy vegan. You said
Yeah,
that it's
you could.
damaging to the environment,
Yeah.
right?
Hmm.
You said you basically admitted it's immoral, right?
I didn't say it was immoral.
It's not immoral to stab animals.
If they didn't pass the laws, if they didn't pass the test, it's not immoral.
Okay, let's just say for right now, without this test or whatever,
Yes. Okay.
test is off the table
Currently,
right now. Just
currently it's
taking a
immoral
knife,
because it's currently
just
immoral
taking a knife.
Yes, it's
stabbing
currently
an animal.
it's currently I don't eat red meat. It's currently immoral to do that because um it hasn't been procedurally done. Like they haven't like the tests haven't been done yet, so it's not procedurally done. You know, it's sort of like technically it's like you know how like some like some what's the word court cases are decided like technically you get the right result, but it's done the wrong way. It's sort of like that.
Okay.
There you
There
go.
would be, I mean, obviously going back to the thing, it's impossible to test animals, you know, because there's so many of them. It's literally impossible. You would have to imagine how much money the government would have to spend on these testing facilities, first of all, and how much of a waste of money and resources and time it would be for people to be testing animals all day for this goofy thing.
You make okay, well, fine, but then you make it sound like we shouldn't even have protect animals then.
Well, no, I already said what we
No.
should be doing, and that's just abolishing animal agriculture and having the same laws that we do right now.
So okay, so just about well then, can we own animals?
I would say no. That's another thing that a
I would
lot of
say
vegans
yes.
don't agree with.
Yeah. So not everyone thinks the same. I'm probably in the minority because, there's a lot of liberals and progressives and such that are, that's kind of fits with being in the minority and change. So it makes a little bit of sense that it works out that way. But generally speaking, the idea that animal suffering is somehow due to ownership is a little bit on the crazy side. And the idea of ownership is just a tool. And so it's just as much about protection as um, harming an animal that's yours. I mean, that's what people see. The owners of the animals are the ones who breed them and kill them, but it's also about protecting just as much. And there's no state in which you cannot own animals. They're either owned by whoever you encounter them, uh, if they're not previously owned, and it's up to them to deal with them as they see fit, or they're owned by a group like a government in some vague way that doesn't take responsibility for them, like eagles. They put laws on them.
Okay.
There's no lack of ownership that can be had on animals.
So uh I'm confused. You just said you're wait to
Yeah,
um
we're different. Me and
no no
him
no
are
no no,
different.
no. He said his cat he has a cat, but he's against owning animals?
Yeah,
What?
I just became a vegan 2.5 years ago, right? Or almost 3 years ago, something like that. So I've had a cat for like 7 years. So I mean, I can't just give the cat up because it'll freeze to death outside. And plus, it's probably not good to just release your cats into the wild out here where they're just gonna destroy. You know, they kill animals for fun, like they're just maniacs. So um, also, I mean, for pet ownership, I mean, the thing I would say to Thaddeus is like, what you would have to name a trait that makes mutilating your pet's genitals okay,
Oh
and
well,
not a human's.
that's a different take. I'm looking to the definition of own, and that's all. I agree with you regarding animals. I don't own any pets. I'm not. I don't desire to own pets or associate with animals myself. I'm not particularly an animal lover, and I appreciate nature for what it is, and it's a more stable system for animals to live and take care of themselves. While people look at domesticated animals as some of the most successful species, that's a very short term view. And they're going to be left high and dry, all those domesticated animals, when humans change their ways. And I expect them to change their ways. Hopefully, wild animal populations can make a comeback. So I think that concurs with what you're saying, but the way we use the word ownership is completely different.
But do you think like when people just taking out the word own, like say it's your best buddy, right? Your amigo dog. Do you
Yeah.
think it's okay to just cut its nuts off?
For what?
Oh, he's talking to me, I think.
Yeah, he's talking to Thaddeus. Yeah.
Yeah, I don't have dogs.
I'll be back. I gotta use the bathroom. Is that okay?
Yeah.
Okay.
So I would I'd like to not have to deal with animals. So telling other people what to do is not what I want to do right now. I don't
Yeah.
think
So
it's.
I mean, well, yeah, you wouldn't even own a pet, period, right? So it's not even, you don't even have to make that decision. Is that what you're saying?
Yeah, it's a very convenient state to be in. If you're going to put me in that situation, I think it is telling that you have to artificially regulate the system by mutilating the animal.
Yeah. Yeah. There's a lot of things that go along with it. But like, yeah, I made a video too about, domesticating animals. The longer basically an animal is domesticated, the more they spread disease. Like, is that a problem in your eyes too?
Hey, I've heard something like that. They get diseases from camels like smallpox and
Yeah, MERS,
you brought up
MERS
ducks
from
and
camels.
various birds and stuff.
Mhm.
I do kind of think that there might be other animals that would exist. I think prairie dogs or something still have a form of Black Death or something. I don't know.
Huh. I just saw a prairie dog a couple days ago. I made a video of it and put it on my Facebook. I was just running the trails, and he was a big guy there.
All right.
All right,
okay.
back to the list. Okay, I want to see you talk in Arabic, do Braille. I want to see you breathe water, or Thaddeus is going to eat you.
Wait, okay, no, real quick. Earlier I asked you a question. Do you think driving like the driving test discriminates against mentally retarded people? Yes or no?
Discriminates? Well, it depends what you mean by discriminate.
Okay, well,
like, what do you mean?
Is against them. Let's say it's a test made against them. That is kind of made for them to fail. To make them
it's
fail.
It's not made against them. It's made to prove that you could be a good driver, period. You could have any sort of problem that stops you from being a good driver. So it's not just against mentally handicapped people. It's against anybody who can't drive.
Yeah, same thing with my test. It's against people who can't even live in a civilized society and follow the laws of a civilized society. If you can't even do basic instructions, you probably can't,
Are you telling me animals cannot live in a civilized society? Because I'm pretty sure they can.
I mean, they rape. They rape each other. We don't rape each other. Let's be real for a second.
Well, okay, we do. We have raped each other, and that's how we got here, though.
Yeah, we do.
That's how
I agree.
As our ancestors had to rape each other in order for us to be here.
You're right. That is true. But we want to live in a society now where we don't want to do that anymore. Correct?
Exactly. Because why? Because we're moral agents.
We can pass those tests and those can't. And we can pass those tests I wrote out, but they can't.
Well, no, I would disagree with that. And I would say we don't rape each other now because we're moral agents. And if we're going to use moral agency to not rape each other, then we should also use it to not hurt animals.
So, I think this is our criteria. Your criteria is moral agency. I think this is because, right? Your criteria for why we should do it, right, is moral agency. My criteria is just
like the golden rule type of idea, right?
I don't necessarily agree with that. Like, what do you mean? Like, okay, what's the exact? Well,
the golden rule is just do unto others as they would do unto you, right? So just kind of a basic philosophy. Now, if you have to eat some plants, right, in order to survive, that's what you got to do, right? But you just try to be just a philosophy, live like a good person. Just don't hurt things that don't need to be hurt. If you don't want to be hurt, why are you doing it to others? It makes no sense.
I mean, I don't know, because by that logic, couldn't you say the same thing about competition, like video games? Let's say you beat someone in a video game. Do others want what they do to you? You beat them. You don't want to get beaten. Is that technically violates the
rule? You do want to get beaten. You do want to. I mean, that's not the same. It's not harm. Failure is the only way to educate yourself and correct errors and learn. Everybody fails all the time. That's what you need to do for education.
Well, I mean, I'm just saying, technically, competition. Do what to others as you would have them do unto you. But if you beat them,
yeah, but then I would argue that that's helping.
Same thing if you're competing with someone in like just in for a job position. You are technically taking this job, and he's not getting the job he wants. So you are technically you
And then
violated
he
the golden rule.
learns.
Technically,
He learns from the failure, but at least he doesn't bleed to death.
well, let's say, but the golden rule. Let's say you just flip off someone, right?
Well, don't do that. Why would
Yeah,
you do that?
same thing. It's like that's the same thing. So you technically, violate that too.
But flipping off people is kind of fun.
Or okay, how about if I shit on their property?
I would say that you probably should, because it might help their trees. If you unless you eat fish, then keep that inside.
Okay, well, okay. I think we could summarize it as your criteria is moral agency is the difference, and that's why we could treat them differently. And my criteria is different. Is that I think my 7, and you know what, I'm down to change it. Let's say maybe I can make it swimming. I'll add swimming, and I'll fix. I'm sorry, English isn't my first language, so sorry about that. If my grammar's a little shit.
Somebody asked if you were Asian.
Yeah, I'm Asian. Yeah, I'm Asian.
Thaddeus, you want to say something?
So back to the fish thing, something about oils. I think you're a little bit misinformed, and maybe if you knew that you don't have to eat fish for oils, and it's like magically justifications disappear.
Yeah.
So the thing about fish and their oils, the ones that they claim have the benefits are really, really cold water fish. And okay, so they have EPA and DHA and all that good stuff. It's not really good for you.
All right. Okay. Let's. Okay. I'll concede. You're probably right. You know,
Yeah,
you are.
You don't want to get into this, but
you're right. I'm not ever going to argue the health aspect. I'll say fine. It's just.
I'm not arguing with you. I'm just informing you so you don't have to eat things that you don't want to.
It's like the same. I guess it's like the same way with why what's called own the cat. It's like the same reason to like. I'm just already used to it, and I don't really. It's like that to me. It's like the same reasoning. Like, yeah, I'm kind of a hypocrite. Yeah, he's kind of a hypocrite, but we're kind of already here, so you might as well just keep going. So yeah, it's like that. I'd say.
Same thing with the cat.
Yeah, because you own a cat still, right? You still own a cat, but you're not against owning pets.
Yeah, so it's not being a hypocrite.
I mean, it kind of is, because you said you're against it, but you're
so let's look at it this way. So I ate meat for 33 years in my life. Now, does that make me a hypocrite?
No, but the problem is you because you at that point didn't have the status of I am against meat eating, correct?
Yeah. Now that's when I got the cat.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, but but it's sort of like being a slave owner, but being against slavery, and you still own slaves. Like that's still that's kind of hypocritical, right?
No, it's not. It's not being a slave owner, right? Because a slave actually has moral agency and can actually, or sorry, not. What am I saying? The moral agency. They have the cognition to be able to take care of themselves or whatever.
No, I'm talking about just in general, like like the founding fathers, they were slave owners, right? But some of them were arguing against slaves, but they still own slaves. I'm just saying that's kind of hypocritical. That's kind of hypocritical.
No. Okay, so
your
listen.
slaves first.
No, but listen though. So if you had slaves, right, and these were fully functional people that were like respond to what you're saying, and they go whatever they were doing, picking stuff in a field, and they were fine, and then they abolished slavery and said there's no more slavery. You could be like, hey, people, you're free. Go do whatever you want, and they leave. I can't do that with my cats, right? Like that's the part that you're missing.
Are you training your cat to eventually be able to do that?
You can't do that. Like, okay, so I'm in Thunder Bay, Ontario, right? So 8 months out of the year, it's freezing here. It gets down to like 40 below. You can't let the cat go. It dies. All
right, well, like, would you eventually like go move to somewhere or like help it? Like
what do you can't
sort of like remember when we
70% of cats get killed in what do you call those places? Like Humane Society, shelter houses. What are they called? You know what I'm talking about.
I don't know.
Adoption centers, whatever they're called. They 70% of cats just get scooped up in the streets and they get the lethal injection. So even if I just let my cats go and they could survive, they'll just get scooped up by animal control and they'll get the needle.
Okay.
Right?
No, I'm saying no. Don't tell them. No, you train them. Like you try training them. Like you know.
How do I train them to avoid animal control?
I mean, it's possible. There's some animal. Like I'm pretty sure there's some animals who can
Yeah.
do it. I mean, you
Okay,
know,
so
there's some good animals. There's some
the
smart.
more reasonable idea is that I just take care of these two pets until the day that they die, and then I don't have any more pets, and
I mean, I don't know.
I tell my kids to not have pets. That would be reasonable.
I guess we could agree to disagree. Maybe you see it one way, I see it a different way. Let's just go with
So
that.
what? No, okay. So what would be your solution? How do I train cats? I don't even understand
You
that.
train the cat to fend off, live on its own.
Well, a cat can live on its own.
Yeah.
That's not what I'm saying. The argument is that they will either freeze to death or animal control will get them.
You can make the argument or anything. Oh, I will retain ownership because these people might be too stupid to or won't be able to survive out there. I mean, you could literally say that about anything.
You probably
Any
should
authority,
do that.
any
And
authoritarian thing you could say will say
Yeah.
that.
No, but you probably should do that. Like that's a good thing that I was arguing before about how people like to adopt pets and people like to have these animal sanctuaries, but it is a human has more well-being than an animal. So if it's just a totally selfless thing, they should be taking care of a human, right? They don't have to take them in their house. They could just give them money and they could spend time, give them food, things like that. They could just put their time and effort into helping something, and human with more well-being than, say, a dog or something, right?
For a human?
Yeah.
I mean, but I don't think well, are we asking what's good or what isn't? What are we referring?
No,
No,
I'm just saying
okay.
you were saying with your argument, then you should be taking care of humans. Well, yeah, people should take care of humans.
No, I'm saying like we should. No, I'm saying because you own your cat still. So I'm saying that's like if I took a homeless man and then forced him, I said you got to do this, you got to do that, and I forced him to not do certain things. And
it's different though because you can talk to a human and ask them what he wants. You can't talk to a cat and ask them what he wants. It's not the same thing.
Wouldn't that even make more? Okay, wouldn't that even make more sense to release them then? Because you now you're just
not releasing them. That would make more sense to be against pet ownership.
Yeah,
but you wouldn't release an animal to be killed.
I don't know. I think we'll agree to disagree. How about that? I mean, I don't think we're ever gonna really agree on each other.
I don't think you have a good solution though. So I don't even know what we're agreeing to disagree.
I think you should just train your cats to eventually live on its own.
How do you do that? Let's train a cat to avoid animal control and live in 40 below weather. It's impossible.
I mean, we don't know that. That's not. I mean, it's not. You can't. Impossible is a strong word. Impossible is a very strong word. Don't say impossible.
Let's take
highly improbable. It's highly improbable. Let's go with that.
Okay, we'll strap a camera to his head. We'll see if he dies, and if it doesn't, it doesn't matter because I'm indifferent, and he's basically a rock. Right?
Highly improbable. Let's just go with that. Not impossible. Okay. I think it's possible for a cat to live. Because
all right, Thaddeus, let's get some reason in here. What do you think I should do with my cats?
Well, I'm not so much caring about animals that I want to kill cats to save the little bitty mice or anything like that. So, I mean, I don't know what you should do other than what you're doing. I'm not going to pick on you about it.
Bullies, eh? Bullies.
Wait, what do you feed your cats? Just curious.
Just normal cat food. Well, here's the thing. So, I don't feel absolutely horrible about it because the cat food you get is a byproduct. It's like really crappy type of meat, right? Mm-hmm. And the animal agriculture is still going on, and if it was like the product, then I would feel bad because then I'm directly contributing. But I still am. I'm not going to make the excuse that I'm not contributing, in any way whatsoever. I'm just saying I feel a little bit better about it because it's a byproduct. But I don't think that you should be giving cats vegan cat food. So people will say, you know, the same thing that I said earlier, like it's a carnivore. You shouldn't be giving it plants. And, you know, even though they're with taurine and lysine and all these things that they put into the plant cat food, that's like giving a human like a meat diet, but then you just injected it with like fiber and some things that might be essential to humans. Like it's the totally wrong food for the cat, and you just added synthetic ingredients to it to give it the right amount of nutrients. And it has been shown to give cats like I think kidney stones and some other problems.
Okay.
So I'm against that.
Okay.
Not for dogs though. Dogs probably are okay on a vegan diet.
Okay.
Unless they're wolves.
Okay. Okay. That's interesting. Well, all right. That was actually a pretty interesting point.
Don't eat retards.
Hey man, is eating
right.
retards actually good? I thought eating human meat for humans is not good for you, right?
Well, some people have made this ridiculous argument. I've heard this before that you need to eat things with like the closest DNA to you or something. So they were.
You need a complete protein.
I think
complete protein is what you need, and if you don't have it, then it's
one
going to
thing.
cause problems.
I think one thing to say is, in theory, I'm saying technically any creature who passes technically can eat it. So even like if a cow passes, they can eat a retarded human too. I'm not a hypocrite about that. It's still like it's technically fair.
You will get a disease. You will get a disease from that if you eat like what is it, the human brain? There's something I forget the name of it. It's inside the human brain, but it'll give you a disease called like Kuru disease, and it's a nature's way of preventing cannibalism.
Oh, that's crazy.
Forget that it's something with the neurons or something. If you eat enough of these neurons or something, it gives you Kuru disease.
Yeah. You know, you know. So yeah, I think we basically talked about everything we could talk about. This stream is long as fuck. Jesus Christ. Sorry about that. It's supposed to be late where you guys are at, right?
It's midnight. I got to go to bed pretty soon.
Oh, I'm sorry about that.
So you're not interested in debating this, but if I told you what's wrong with fish, would you stop eating it because you don't like the taste, or is that not the issue?
Actually, I don't go out of my way to eat fish. I just, because my parents bring it. I'm really young, by the way. If my voice is kind of, it's pretty cringe.
They deserve to know about nutrition as well. I might suggest that you check out the Daily Dozen app. Maybe watch some nutritionfacts.org videos. But if you want to get the short of it, you just eat flax.
Yeah.
Or greens or something like that will have your omega-3s, and you can convert them if you don't eat too much oil or omega-6.
Yeah.
So just don't eat oil.
I think I think you're right. I should add more rules to the test. You're right, because it is biased against those who can't swim. That's fucked up. You're right. I got to put swimming in there, and I'll put flying in there too. Is there any other things that is too biased? You feel?
I don't think that's the problem.
No, because I don't want a cheap test. You're right. I can't be biased. So
you're basically trying to test for moral agency is the closest thing I can figure.
I guess so. Yeah.
But somehow lack of moral agency is an excuse to be extra mean to an animal.
You know what? I think that's it. I think this is what we disagree. Okay, so that's where we agree. If you don't have moral agency, you can be protected and you have rights. If you don't have moral agency, you don't have protections and rights. I think we got it. That's basically
that's what you're shooting for. Not that that makes sense.
I guess that's what we're both saying. Yes, that's what
sentience is the thing where you want to look to just say, hey, that's something worth looking at and being nice over. And it doesn't mean everything. It doesn't mean that you get run over by cockroaches or something like that in your house, but it does mean that you should give it some respect.
Yeah. And you know what I think? I think if you have time another day, I'll send your paper over to my friend Nick here, who really likes talking about this type of stuff, and I think you should have a conversation with him about it.
Yeah, actually, that'd be fun. Well,
just between the two of you?
would this? I think the difference because you guys don't actually want to implement laws, and the way I do want to implement laws. So there's kind of that's also a difference between us.
I
Right?
don't think you want to implement laws.
What do you mean by that?
I think you want to make veganism look burdensome.
I'm not saying it's better. I'm
No,
not,
it isn't. You know, since it's basically boycotting some things and a
no.
consumer-driven movement, but
Yeah.
if you want to make laws, you're going to make it burdensome. You're going to turn people away. I don't think that they're hiding laws or things that they desire to do. It's just,
I mean, you know, everything has to be pragmatic, right? If you think about it, laws
yeah.
got to be pragmatic. So I'm just.
Why are you making it unpragmatic with laws?
You got to take. I'm taking it to the logical extreme. If veganism was,
Yeah.
you know,
It's-
veganism
you've
was
heard
allowed,
of,
you have to make it illegal.
You've heard of reductio ad absurdum,
Yes.
and that's where you're going, right?
Some I didn't. I mean, I'm sorry. I'm not since I'm not a. I don't really know like these terms. I'm not.
Reducing it to absurdity. That's what you're doing, piling all these things that ought to be in veganism
Yeah, I guess so. I guess that's what I'm doing.
and making veganism absurd.
Yeah, I guess so.
Well,
Yeah.
Veganism isn't obliged to follow you down the path to absurdity on this. There's no obligation.
It sort of depends on what you mean by veganism. There's two, you know, there's veganism law, like if you want it to be into law. If it's just a consumer movement, yeah, that's you don't need to do that. It's because it's just recommend. It's sort of like a lifestyle choice. But if it's actually to make unto a law, an ethical argument, then that's different. Correct?
Yeah, I suppose so. If it's
because you don't want it to be into law. I want it to be into law. I'm staying on the moral like in the.
I don't think you actually want it to. You're just not encumbered by the fact that this runs into problems because you want it to be a problem.
What are you talking about?
I mean, you have no obligation to make it reasonable since you don't think it's reasonable.
Oh, what's not reasonable? It is reasonable. You're right.
If it's reasonable, do it.
What's reasonable?
Oh, if veganism is reasonable, go ahead and do it.
Oh no, veganism or the other one?
Other what?
What do you mean? What do you mean is reasonable? Wait, are we talking about my laws, or are you talking about veganism in itself?
I think I said if. So it's whatever you think is reasonable, you should probably do.
Yeah. So like, for those living in the United States, if you read my paper, if you want to become, a congressman one day, eventually we could vote this into and make it a constitutional amendment. I think we'd be down. I think, just implement these. It's fair. I think we should do it. I'd be down. So if you're out there as like a politically savvy and agree with my ideas, maybe we could, actually implement this into law, into the Constitution one day.
I think you are doing serving veganism by bringing it down a logical pathway that needs to be explored in people's minds. But I don't think that this is something that vegans haven't actually done and thought it through. So,
I mean, I would like to see a legislation for vegan legislation on the national level. I would actually want to see that. That sounds interesting.
I asked around for what people's idea for vegan legislation was. Mine is more along the lines of getting rid of things like subsidies for animal agriculture, and
I agree with that.
If we're going to dictate what an army person eats, maybe we should dictate that it be good food. So, I mean, there's an area right there. You could change the army's food.
Okay, yeah, I'm actually.
What about jail?
I feel.
What about jails?
Huh? What's up?
But basically, I don't really have any role in interactions between people and animals. I don't have that role.
Okay. So yeah, you know what?
Other than to shame them and stuff.
All right, so I should add swimming, flying. What else should I add to this? Anything else seems biased?
So basically, what you're making in the end is something that vegans will reject.
I mean, okay, yeah, I'm not. Yeah, they can reject it, but that doesn't necessarily mean they're right in rejecting it. They're not coming up with a reason to reject it. They're just saying, "Oh, it's absurd because it's absurd." That's not a good reason. They're just saying it's absurd.
Being absurd is a good reason to reject something.
Being a what?
And being absurd is a good reason to reject something.
It's not absurd though. It's not
What?
absurd.
Burdensome regulations is not absurd.
I mean, okay, fine. They can by that, but then I'm okay. I want to see vegan legislation though against my legislation. Then we'll compare. Then we can see which is better.
Nobody's going to be in favor of eating handicapped people. Nobody's going to agree to it. It's absurd. Never happened.
I didn't say it's okay.
Well,
I didn't say it's okay to eat. It's just saying they don't have the rights. And people can, if people want to, they can pay $500 to get protections if they want to any creature they want, as long as they take care of it and take.
Okay, so that's absurd. So paying for retarded people not to be eaten is absurd. Testing every single animal in nature to see if they could hold pencils and stuff. That's absurd.
Okay, that's like, think of it this way. That's level 9 absurd. Veganism applied to law is like level 10 absurd. Like they're both absurd. It's just mine's a little less absurd. You know? That's what I'm saying. Mine's level 9 absurd. Your veganism legislation.
You have to
level 10 absurd.
You have to take this up with Mod Vegan. I
don't know who Mod Vegan is. Who is that?
MAUD or MOD?
What is
Mod
he?
Vegan.
Can you give me like a summary of his views and stuff?
She thinks that in the future, when technology advances, that we'll take care of all the wild animals.
I don't like the word in the future. I like present. I like the word present. I like
something like that.
Working in the present. I don't like in the future. I like in the present. You know, like we have what we have now. We gotta work in the now.
You're right. In the future. And you're not arguing with me. You're not arguing with most of veganism, as far as I can tell. Maybe in the back of some people's minds, they haven't quite thought this out. But that doesn't undercut veganism.
No, I respect vegan. I respect vegans like the way I respect people who don't, was it the no straight edge movement? Is that the term? Yeah, same thing with like the people who don't, monks who don't masturbate. Like that's pretty crazy to me. Like, wow, y'all can do that shit. Like that's impressive. And I've read somewhere vegans live longer, if I'm correct, right? They're right, like they live hella long, and hella, right?
Yeah,
I respect that, but we're not all. I'll even say I think you guys are like, in some ways, objectively like better in a way than us, like quote unquote meat eaters. Like, in terms of self control and stuff like that. Like, you guys are kind of objectively better on that criteria. That's what I'm saying. But I'm just saying, like,
that's a good place to end the debate, right?
Yeah. This was. Sorry if I got a little heated in time. Sorry if my English was shit. I'm sorry. I'm not. Can't. Okay. Sorry about that. I don't know if I was. I don't know if I'm like your best guess or your worst guess or whatever. Like, but
it's all good. It's probably only like 2 people watched this because it went so long.
Yeah, sorry stream. I'm sorry.
I think you put more work into it than a lot of people.
Sorry.
Yeah, that paper I wrote took a while. I'm gonna say this: arguing against veganism is not easy. It's really hard. It's actually hard. It's not easy. That's why I see a lot of debates on YouTube. Like they suck. They're not good at it. They're not good at doing it. I think mine is pretty unique to the way I do it. Because it's usually just a might makes right argument at the end of the day. It's usually what it comes down to. I'm like, I don't like that argument.
I think you're a little bit better with naming the trade, as in like talking about traits and sticking with them and going ahead and bite the bullet up there with some of the more logical ones, like what's his name? That was a psychopath.
Destiny?
Destiny, yeah. You like him, right?
No, I do not like him. He's kind of a dick, but no offense. But yeah, he said some, I don't know. The problem is his shit is inconsistent. There was some times where
I mean, it's the same issue with you. I mean, it's the exact same thing. You're willing to bite the bullet on retard Holocaust.
That's it's technically true, but I wrote. You know why I wrote that protected slow sentient clause? Just so you can protect them. That's why I wrote that in.
So someone can. I mean, you faulted me for
as long as you pay $500, you can do it. It relies on the goodwill of the protected sentients who, if they want to.
No, but you faulted me for not imposing laws on a mother and then you're going to like charge people $500 to care about
$500 is not that much. That's why I put it at that price. Like, it's not enough.
It's not that much if you're talking about humans.
Yeah, of course, that's nothing.
It's nothing if you're a really big animal.
Yeah. So all right. So yeah, I should adjust my my test a little bit because it is a little towards humans. That is right. I agree with that. I'm sorry. What else? Yeah, I should fix a grammatical error.
I gotta go, guys. But Thaddeus, send me this mod vegan video so I could see
Yeah,
this video here.
It'll be quite a few videos.
I'm super interested in hearing that. But I'll post this on my channel, and then I'll also link the your article there, so everybody can see it and read it for themselves.
Yeah.
But thanks for coming on, and thanks for having me on, Thaddeus.
Yeah.
Well, thank you.
This was pretty cool, pretty interesting. Never done anything like this before, actually. So yeah. Yeah. I guess I should be heading out too.
Yep. Better kill it.